Let me show these suckers how to ball out here. Oh, man, let's get this together here. Oh, layup. Oh, shot. Oh, three. Oh, it's like Brick City out here. Mid-range. Oh, my goodness. I can't buy a bucket out here. I missed the whole damn basket. Oh, my goodness. What's going on, man? My game is looking trash. Oh, here we go. Black Power Media shirt. Now we cooking. Trees. I'm taking on 3 of y'all with these right here. Between the legs. Oh, my goodness. Behind the back. Layup. Oh, and did he just do a reverse? He is in beast mode out here. I ain't got to look. It's falling. Oh, my goodness. This guy is going 3, 2, 1. Kobe. Nice. Black Power Media, baby. Nice. Empower yourself. Go get you some of that Black Power Media again. Right here, blackpowermedia.org. Yeah.
You got to earn your liberation.
Yes. What's up, world? Welcome back to another edition of...
It's in the pocket. There you go.
Yeah, no, I didn't forget. StreamYard Studio is not set up to make it easy to transition between elements. So StreamYard...
Diallo, what you know about this?
This gets me in the mood, boy. I'm ready now.
Diallo, you know this music or now?
What that is? No.
Really?
What's up, world? What's up, everybody? Welcome to Earn Your Liberation, episode 62, Aging Like Fine Wine.
I know it. I know what that is.
What is it?
Copyright strike.
Nah, we don't have to worry about that here. They've already dealt with it by doing a live performance cover that we are reproducing here. We're good to go. So I believe this is
Una told us you be dancing. No, that's not Big Freedom. Wait,
That is.
I think New Orleans bop is older than Baltimore. I mean DC, right?
nothing's older than DC's bop.
I think down there in New Orleans, I think a little bit.
And we're going to talk about it again. We're going to get into it a little bit. The South owes DC some more thanks.
Oh shit!
Given that documentary that everybody's parents are in.
Yo,
yeah.
I think I saw Diallo in that joint. I'm pretty sure that
I
was
thought I
Diallo.
saw Diallo down
the high
there.
top, right? Yeah, the high top.
I did have a high.
Yeah.
I think I saw Diallo in
Nah,
there.
I was on some righteous bullshit back then. I was too righteous.
Nah.
That era completely missed me because I thought I was on some old righteous.
Man, we had some black. We had
You
some
were
black
on righteous. I was on too corny. I was by the time I aged into understanding what was possible, I wasn't cool enough. Nobody I was running with wanted to be down there.
Which one? Y'all talking about the 80s one or the 90s? Because I
All
didn't
of
know
them.
about the 80s ones. The
The
80s was
Well, the 80s ones I was too young for.
I was too young for the 80s ones. And I had homeboys hollering at me. My older brothers, they were like, let's roll, man, let's go. They would pile up in hoopties. And
That's what they said, yeah.
They would pile up in hoopties and head south. That's back when those fold-up maps, you could never get folded back right.
Yep.
Remember?
Yep.
Mhm.
Dudes were sitting at the printer printing out MapQuest.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was the
Like,
come up.
pages.
That was the come up because those original maps, like you're talking about, were just a mess.
Yeah. I used to go to sleep in a car and you wake up and your homeboy got the map splayed across the steering wheel. And you like, yo, I'll go to sleep, dog. You good? So I'm
Famous last
that
words.
was my era. But
Yeah.
I was like, no, my ancestors will not allow me to participate.
Maybe we should even start there because now I'm looking at Black Bikers Week started in the 80s too, in Myrtle Beach and Atlantic Beach. And I don't know if Freaknik was the first one.
And Dick Gregory shamed me.
Why?
Oh,
What he
yeah.
do?
Well, you have to remember back in that same era, there was a lot of talk about passing the baton, and a lot of the icons of the civil rights movements were still with us in the 80s and 90s, and we were like, well, they need to pass us the baton. They need to allow us to step up and take leadership. These old civil rights leaders need to step aside and let the new generation come through, stomp into the 90s. And Dick Gregory was like, what the hell are you talking about passing the baton? And y'all young folks, I was young folks back then, y'all young folks complaining that we don't give y'all the baton. We're not giving y'all room to talk. We're not let's stepping aside for y'all. He said, y'all didn't need a baton to start Freaknik. You know, he's like, y'all young folks don't need a baton to do nothing y'all want to do. Y'all don't wait for us. Y'all don't complain about us being in your way. If you want to do something, you do it. So just like y'all started Freaknik and didn't need permission and didn't need a baton, as far as the revolution or civil rights, just step up and do it and shut up about a baton.
Well, technically, he was a little bit off because the 80s group did pass the baton to the Freaknik. Because remember, they said bring out the freak out. The old people who started the picnic, freak out picnic, to now just the freaky. So technically, they passed the baton, but they didn't
describe it as a baton pass. They described it as a takeover. They said the way the documentary described it, the way I took it when I saw it.
I skimmed through it. I did. He took it last
night. And let me tell y'all something else. I'm not the biggest fan of the South, Mason-Dixon.
Oh, man.
Wait.
Forgot about Black Beach Week.
That's what I just said. Well, Black Bikers and Black Beach. Oh, you talking about Miami? Black Beach?
New York.
Oh, that dirty ass beach. Yeah, I remember that dirty ass beach.
Yeah, Coney Island, Jones Beach.
Yo, that's the dirtiest beach in the world.
All over.
What's the Far Rockaway? Far Rockaway. I had
Hamptons.
Oh yeah.
I never made it to the Hamptons, but I made it to Far Rockaway.
And was out there before Diddy went out there and made it uncomfortable.
Diddy ruined everything.
Diddy did it. What did Diddy do? Diddy did it.
Diddy did it.
You got a little snapshot of the documentary, something you could put a link. This kind of show what we're talking about. But so I was trying to figure out what the hell they was doing when they started out with 21 Savage talking about, the world was more pure back then. So I don't know if he was talking about it, or it sounded like he was talking about when there was the Freaknik, and then I guess the Olympics took that away from them. But
yeah, so
I don't know what he was trying to do with 21 Savage and the young rappers, and then.
Well, to me, it was just I thought they were trying to start with the young as a hook to bring people in, so it wasn't just here's the old people talking. But that's at least the way I understood it, because then they went from him and them to sort of the flashback to the old heads talking about how it got put together. So yeah. In fact, let's what if we did it this way? Nah, that ruins it. Hold on. My bad. So dang, I'm doing what was done yesterday. How do we get back to the joint?
There.
That's the show there. Yeah, man. That's the show there. There it is, right there, right?
There it is. That's all we need.
Yeah, so, there it is. How do you get it back to the there we go.
Come on, so y'all claiming y'all never been there?
I never went. I never went. I was either
never had
the wrong
the slightest interest.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I can't. Now that's not true. Hold on. Well, I didn't go to anything. I was never. I was.
CIAA?
No.
Damn.
The only thing I went to, I didn't really start doing anything until I wouldn't count really anything until I was already in the Navy. So, and for me, it was the sort of the well, I got to Virginia Beach the year after the race riots of 89 rather. And so it would be like the very black end or black section of Virginia Beach, at least initially for me. That was as close to a Freaknik version that I got in terms of cars, the tailgating, the salaciousness, that kind of stuff. That was as close as I ever got. Now I did go to with I was hanging out in high school. I was the closest I got was hanging out with Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh at Beach Week in Ocean City, Maryland, which is that's the white version of Freaknik. Mm-hmm. And to the point they made in the documentary, not that I would condone the behavior that was being, that was taking place at Freaknik per se, but the policing that they got clearly was not taking place in Ocean City, Maryland. So, and by the way, I'm just so the censors and whoever, it's just a joke. Kavanaugh said that he was at Beach Week. We are roughly the same age. I do believe I was at some of the Beach Weeks while he was there, but I do not pretend to know him or have any evidence that he did anything he was allegedly accused of.
That's
so
how you clean that shit up right there.
Yeah, I clean that up right there. I don't want the confusion. But anyway, that's as close as I got to that.
They're gonna find a picture of Christopher Williams and Kavanaugh.
Right, exactly. So when now to the point that Diallo was making and what was made in the documentary, I did hear about older brothers going. I did see people that were cooler than me planning to go. For instance, when we were in the Navy, folks would go, but I was never cool enough to be invited. But I did have an interest in it. I was curious. I heard a lot of stories, and it seems that what I heard is what went on. So. Yeah, but I do have some notes though. I don't know if you all have anything in particular you wanted to get to from it, but yeah, go ahead. My bad.
I got a couple notes. So I don't think I went to. I'm pretty sure I didn't ever go to Freaknik. I was definitely too young. Black Bikers Week.
Yeah, I was about to say you too young.
But Black Bikers Week was damn near like Freaknik to me. I mean, in Atlantic Beach, both of them was wild in Myrtle Beach. The CIAA been there a couple times, and I can't think of any other. So that's the HBCU that was in Charlotte, but not in Baltimore. Every tournament that they have for all the HBCU basketball teams. And they used to, the celebrities used to take over Charlotte. And they used to always complain how the celebrities come and have all the parties and none of the money stay in Charlotte, although the hotels and the, clubs get a lot of money. But then Black in Atlanta, but Black Bikers Week literally was like Freaknik. So the same stuff, because I used to see Freaknik via BET Uncut. So I was seeing what's going on. Yeah. So Black Bikers Week was exactly like that with motorcycles and more of a strip. But yeah, that's what I remember. But I mean, there's a lot of wild shit in there, like including your boy. I don't know if we got a clip of that, but every time that guy get on the mic, when it comes to sex and capitalism, he always talking about revolution. Black people went down to have fun and fuck around and found a revolution, is what he said. Killer Mike.
Well, and yeah, Killer Mike, of course, was in there, and Uncle Luke was in there. He said something similar.
Yeah, Uncle Luke.
That he said it was kind of a revolution, and yeah, exactly. But my big takeaway, by the way, speaking of that, my first note is because CeeLo has said the line, "Big bank take little bank." Freaknik, the documentary, to me, is another example of the myth of buying power, Black capitalism, the lack of political power, and because the point being that what's good for business is not good for Black people. If we just table temporarily any criticism of Freaknik itself or the ultimate behavior itself, which we can come back to. In other words, my point being that isn't necessarily. I do feel a little bit of that. What is it? Respectability politics. Like that's not necessarily the gathering I want us to go to war to defend. But I do want to point out that anywhere Black people go, whatever the context, it is always going to be antithetical and in disinterest to those in power, Black, white, or other. And when it comes to changing it, all that is required is the political power and the influx of white capital. And they said very quickly, it went from, what was it, 2 million or whatever, from black people coming to Freaknik to 2 billion or something, or 15 million to 2 billion for the Olympics in 96, which they say was the sort of the culminating catalyst for the demise of Freaknik. Even before they got into anything about the criticism of the behavior, the misogyny, the R wording, the assaults, and all of that kind of stuff, the real issue was Atlanta's black bourgeoisie and its white elite overlords said, "Nah, we get in the Olympics in '96, and it's time to clean up all this nonsense." And that's basically what happened, and that's what happens in all of black business. All black buying power arguments. It is wildly limited to and specific to the condition of a poor, oppressed, colonized community. And whenever folks in power want to make changes, whether it's gentrification, whether it's Olympics switching out Freaknik, they can come in and do it. So I'll stop there. But but that was my initial takeaway.
I wonder what y'all think. So the initial crew who said they were from Baltimore, DC,
DMV,
right?
Yep, DC.
They're from the DMV, and they was down there at all of the Mecca black schools, and they were trying to organize school breaks. And it started out as a picnic, as I said, like bring out the freak out type freak, not freaky freak.
Right.
And so
it was a black bourgeoisie affair. It was a DC, that was a Howard University, black bourgeoisie,
and
black
they was probably
college.
playing, they was probably in the pocket too. They was probably playing that music.
Oh, no question. Right. No question.
So, but what do y'all think about the argument of again having fun and limiting, not limiting, but I guess trying to control what is to be fun and what is not? Like when y'all think about the overall image of the event.
I did want to say one more thing about the DC thing. Real quick, now that you mention it. One note that I did make was that I didn't follow through. I meant to look into the actual production, because while they mentioned starting in DC and interview that founding group, the musical selection was Chuck Brown's Bustin' Loose, or really the Soul Searchers' Bustin' Loose. And that made me think, because you asked about the pocket, that made me think, okay, they're acknowledging DC, but the production crew is not DC. Because if the production crew was DC, it wouldn't have been Bustin' Loose. It would have been one of Chuck's staples from his go-go era as the godfather of go-go. That, I think, would have been more likely. Bustin' Loose is a major hit, no question, great song. But I think that would have been more what would have been in those cars on the way down there, that pocket, not Bustin' Loose per se. That was just a thought I had, but okay. Sorry about that. Go ahead, fellas.
What you think, Diallo? Any arguments around what is fun, rather the first Freaknik or the later Freaknik? Any of those things you have, I guess, behaviorally, any gripe against?
I think it's tragic. At that exact same time, there was also a burgeoning black conscious movement at that exact same time that is overshadowed or forgotten. In the 90s, and Dale Jones said that the youth resurrected Malcolm in that era, and that's overshadowed. Like I said, I was on some old righteous nonsense back then, and they had Odun Day, they had the African Arts Festival, Jazz Mobile, Harlem Week, throughout the country. That was the height of the Black Books movement. And so during that same era, what annoys me is when people try to associate, we're resisting, they can't tell us what to do, and misunderstanding what respectability politics really is, and misinterpreting, things like Freaknik, or even today Sexy Red, as resistance or expression or empowerment. That's all bullshit. What it is, what was going on quite a bit then, where you had resistance or revolutionary aesthetic, completely absence of revolutionary or resistance ideology. And so just acting out or lashing out, what I call, there's a big difference between organizing resistance and throwing a tantrum. And so or what I call political tantrum. So even though I understand the outlet and all that, I think that for us to inject pretending that this was somehow resistance, revolutionary, radical, or even counterculture, that Freaknik aligns with and resonates with Western culture, with capitalism and all the values we're supposed to be resisting. It's
That's
just
right.
like that bullshit when they tried to rewrite the history of NWA with that bullshit NWA movie and act like NWA was a dangerous group and you know, F the Police was the most radical, dangerous song out there when there were dozens of anti-police songs. And out of the 3 verses on the song, they literally are like, the police are getting in my way, you know, because I want to kill niggas, you know, because I kick ass, because I'll stomp you out, you know, I'll smother your mother and make your sister think I love her. And they are literally they're not lashing out at the police for police assaulting our people. They're not lashing out at the police because they want to resist and secure liberation. They're lashing out at the police because the police are obstructing their criminal intention or their criminal behavior. It's E with the criminal behavior. Yeah, I'm a gangster, but still I got flavor. So there was dueling and a strongly conflict in the early 90s. When, you know, we are bastards of the parties. We are the offspring of COINTELPRO. You know, and at the beginning, this was nothing but a extension of the blaxploitation era. And blaxploitation, where they had black folks with afros and leather jackets and black folks that would tell the honky like it is and tell the man like it is. Like I said, they had all the black power, black radical aesthetics with none of the ideology, none of the scholarship, and none of the agendas of black power or black liberation, just the aesthetic. It was all surface.
Well,
So
speaking,
I don't mind us revisiting those eras, but I don't like the fact that we rewrite the intention, the history, and the impact of that era. And we ignore, because there was a whole era. There was a extremely rich black conscious movement, black scholarship movement, and a lot of people who resisted, mocked, and demeaned it, and talk shit. Because I remember going to Boys and Girls High School and just saw oceans of beautiful African people, and just I'd never seen anything like it in my life. And in '92 and in '93, out and going to the inner and going up to Harlem Week and Jazzmobile and going to Marcus Garvey Park for the events, going to the Nyabingi drum circles and the Haitian drum circles and the Akan rituals and Ashanti and Yoruba festivals. There, that all was going on, and all they wanted to, at the same time, just like there was all this conscious revolutionary hip hop, there were communist rap groups in the early 90s, and everybody think it was NWA and Ghetto Boys all the time, everywhere. So there's a reason. I'm just saying we should tell the whole story, and we should tell the honest story. That's all I'm saying. I ain't saying we should delete anything, but the fact that this as my because one thing I always think when that era come up, my older brother, you know, and I can't say his name because, you know, he's a righteous Muslim now, and he come back from Freaknik, or they even go up to Iowa. That shit was everywhere for homecoming. Those what was it? I forgot, some big time homecoming. Howard's homecoming.
Oh, Howard, definitely, yeah. But you said Iowa.
Iowa, yes, going up to Iowa, Oklahoma. Yeah, it wasn't just the coast. It wasn't.
So I don't know who.
But when he would come back, I'm like, so how was it? He'd say all the time, that was some monkey fuck shit, and he'd be mad because he's hungover. His car done got dinged up because he had a laid out ride. His car was dinged up. He was hungover. He done blew through all his money. Probably didn't have rent money, and he always come back with full of regret. So that's why he was like, man, that was some monkey fuck shit. And I'm like, so why do you go every year?
Hey, I don't know who
Howard's
made the
homecoming. Howard's homecoming. I have no regrets. Hampton's, no regrets.
Hampton, yeah, all that shit.
I have no regrets. So I just want to give some shout out that some fun was had. Sorry.
So speaking of fun,
I had a ball. But
speaking of fun, like, what about the political utility of this film? So there's a couple things that was obvious. So Andrew Young was in there, and Kasim Reed, Killer Mike's two daddies or parents or whatever.
But not much from Andy though.
Well, I mean, he was enough. Him and Kasim was enough to
Kasim
say,
was all up in there.
but there was enough to say that Atlanta had where black people had political power versus white people having economic power. And when you can come to Atlanta, you can see a bunch of black police and all this other stuff. And so I think they was very intentional about dropping those things to where black political power, Atlanta, Freaknik, fun versus whatever else. And
right. And then the shift seemed to be white folks in the Olympics, racists from the surrounding Georgia area, and then black debauchery. That was what combined for the collapse of this wonderful thing. But to your point, and I think you're right, Kasim Reed, who I saw a lot of. I don't remember too much of Andy in there, with little and I thought I actually thought Killer Mike's comments seemed stifled, because I feel like I'm probably projecting here, but I feel like he and Kasim and others and even maybe some of the producers were really struggling to make it seem like black elected officials was in fact political power, and black business being there was this great thing, and it provided this. Like they literally said police look like you. They called it Wakanda. They said they didn't say misleadership. It was the beauty of black leadership. It was the beauty of HBCUs. It was they said we had Jesse Jackson and Angela Davis coming to speak. They said Spike Lee's movies in A Different World. They mentioned that again. Shout out to my Different World project. Please check out mixwhatilike.org if you would like to participate. But the whole point being, HBCUs, black elected officials, black business create this beautiful Wakanda utopia, and then they leave out the important nuances and details of those transitions. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I actually didn't. I don't. I've watched a lot of Different World, and I don't remember that episode when they was talking about going to Freaknik. Oh, you can't tell your parents that it's Freaknik. Just tell them it's a gathering. So I mean,
I don't remember the episode, but I'm not surprised that they did that. Yeah.
And then CBS's and Ricky's homeboy was on there legitimizing the whole film. Mark Lamont Hill. I mean, I don't like he's called out, right? He seemed like he's called out to intellectualize some type of thing and or make it credible, or like so he's like as a political expert, historian, and again, intellectualizer of documentaries, and he was definitely there in his little suit and tie, having a serious conversation around Freaknik.
He was doing his punditry thing. He was added the and so was what's his name from the Fab Five, Stephen A. Smith. They said took his girl. That's
wait, Stephen took Jalen Rose's girl when?
That's just always one of the rumors that they say led to that was that I don't know. This is just one of those YouTube rumors.
He's with Angela Rye now, I think, right?
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Jalen Rose, yeah, but Jalen Rose, but when he was with Molly Karam on ESPN, it doesn't matter. The point is he was on there. But yeah, Martin.
No, nothing like that. But me and my brother was arguing about Chris Webber being talented in the NBA, and I was like, he was a bust. Would you agree?
That Chris Webber was a bust?
Yeah, like
no, I wouldn't say he was a bust. You could say he didn't. I would say he didn't live up. You could say he didn't live up to the hype, or what he didn't have the career somebody thought he was going to have. But I wouldn't call him a bust. I mean, and if it wasn't for that rigged, if it wasn't for that rigged ref, that ref who later copped to it, that he was rigging games, they should have beat Kobe and Shaq and moved on to the championship. So he wasn't a bust. He wasn't a bust. And he was even nice when he played in DC. I think he just played on a bad franchise. So I wouldn't, he had a couple injuries, I wouldn't call him a bust.
Okay.
And one of my ex's homegirls, he was her target when he was in DC. She was one of those, I don't know what they're called, but the women who target NBA players for life-changing experiences. And she was working on him apparently. That's my 6 degrees of separation to him.
That's why his jump shot was whack. All right. No, so
Maybe
any other before we get to the segment Q&A, any other thoughts on the Freaknik?
Yeah, just let me wait. Let me. Oh no, actually, I did get. Yeah, right. They actually made the point. I made the note here that it said, "quote A different world boosted Black college attendance by putting a positive light on Black college experience." That's exactly why I started doing that project. And shout out to Professor Jones's new book on the Pan-African College. I gotta get you all a copy. I think we should do a EYL on that. And by the way, I messed this up, but Ebony and Louise, the co-authors of that new book, that forthcoming book on economic inequality, they're talking about maybe coming next week. They were supposed to be on last week, but I messed that up. If you remember, but because they had gone on earn your leisure, and then we were going to try to get them to come here. And I messed up the communication, so but you don't look like you remember what I'm talking about, but that's all right.
No, because I was thrown off because it was somebody said something in the chat that made me think about. So the U.S., there's certain places where I guess the relax or freedom of sex workers, and like in other countries is it's a thing, and I wonder what was that thought about, like Freakniks and events like that, where this could be a time where sex workers are I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it, but any part of your analysis or thought around the sex workers during those times? Because like the event was about this certain thing, and I wonder if there was any kind of thoughts around your idea of sex work and in these type of events. Does it make sense? Or like it's not like a direct question, but more so broadly thinking about how do we include talking about like sex workers in those type of events?
At what time? At a Freaknik?
Like the Freakniks and Black bikers and all these other events, which could be nothing. I mean, I think people.
I don't know. I think not to start it early, but the Q&A early. But I think I'm with A-Rob on this one. I'm not sure I get the. I'm not sure.
I mean, again, I know like Black Bikers Week and other events. There are sex workers there.
One, the P was free. The girl is all free.
Yeah, well, maybe we shouldn't have a conversation. Anyway, I saw it in the chat and I thought about it, but I dropped it off.
My only, just broadly on that subject, my one quick thought is that I don't think sex workers should be demeaned, but I would like to see a world where that wasn't seen. I still feel like that work is encouraged by the wild inequality that we see in this world. So I would like to see a situation where that wasn't seen as necessary or an option, even as I think those who go into that profession should not be demeaned at all. In fact, if anything, it should be legalized and unionized just like everything else, if it's going to be an industry, as clearly.
Okay. Got it.
So,
Diallo,
but I don't know what the connection is I'm not clear on the connection.
Well, I mean, I think one, I thought about it, but then also obviously somebody said in the chat, but I know that even like there's spaces where there are actually police, but it's almost like a giving. They allow it for, in some type of capacity in certain places, but I just wonder if it was.
That seems like to be the case just in general. It seems, I mean, but yeah.
Yeah. So, Miss Gladney, peace, new member. I thought she was already a member, but what up to you?
Sometimes, I don't know, sometimes people come and go or it resets sometimes. I see people say that sometimes it resets for them. I'm not sure what it is, but either way, welcome back.
All right, Supreme Moore Omakunde. What up? What up? Appreciate you.
Welcome. Thank you.
$2 on the air doctor. Could have sworn I saw the air doctor. But Jared looked like the air doctor.
I was looking.
Diallo said, yeah.
They spend too much time. You start to spend a lot of time around somebody. You start.
You
to
can't
look.
spin like the air doctor though. Air doctor got a little.
I was looking.
Peace for the 2020s. 2020.
I did see some. I will say this: there was a scene where there was somebody getting a lap dance in the street that at first glance I thought looked like me, and for a second I was like, "Was I there?" I was like, "No." Just the build and a little bit with the complexion. I said, I was just for a quick second. I was like, "Nah, I wasn't there."
You took one of them long rides down there.
Nah. Alicia, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. DC Joe Black. DC started.
Yeah, I put that one. DC, I co-signed me on that point about Chuck Brown. That so I appreciate that. That if a production member had really been from the area, they would have had a different track in there. It wouldn't have been Busted Loose. Mm-hmm. No disrespect to Busted Loose, but I just don't think that would have been. It would have been. It would have been something else. Hoochie Coochie Man or something. I don't know.
Zinzi Bell. So way too many conscious people back in the days were completely devoid of fun and enjoyment of anything.
Oh shit.
You had some fun? Shit. You said you was too pure to go down there, so maybe you didn't have fun. What kind of fun the conscious people was having? What kind of fun y'all was having in the conscious community?
I think that's a myth, and also fun is relative.
It is. That's a fact.
Fun is relative. That was before, back in that era. A lot of people, fun is defined for them. Whatever the television or whatever, like you said, these influential TV shows have their whole life oriented around it. So fun is an extremely relative thing. How do you define what fun is for someone else?
Yeah.
How do you define what good music is for somebody else? So I think a lot of conscious Black people were trying to seek out alternatives to mainstream outlets and mainstream fun, or just, trying to find or engage other aspects of themselves and stimulating one's intellect to cultivating the soil. There's a lot of things people get off on. It ain't even about fun. It's about getting off. And what people get off on is a very wide range. And anybody that doesn't get off on the shit that's not on a fucking Super Bowl commercial or shit that's defined as fun by the mainstream or corporate media, if you ain't doing that, if you ain't wearing those clothes, if you ain't engaged in those activities, if you ain't flashing those dollars and shit, how can you be having fun? So I think a lot of conscious people were able to stimulate themselves, build communities, and engage in shit that gets them off or things that they're into. And because they are alien to the masses or alien to the mainstream, then how could it be fun? How could you define that as fun? How can sitting around a drum circle, with the Rastas, how could that be fun? If you ain't, busting it open and standing on top of a Mercedes, how could it be fun? That shit don't look fun. That shit looks miserable. A lot of things that people called fun back then and now, that shit looks miserable. I would pay not to do a lot of things that people are paying to do. I would pay not to go sit in a goddamn stadium and watch some ball chasing. I would pay to not do that shit. And people be paying 7 figures, 6 figures for season tickets and ground and floor seats and shit. So fun is relative.
Man, I also think maybe that there's this like projection. So if you're somebody who is talking about serious shit, whether you're online or in person, and then you get around people in a private setting, they be like, "Oh, you way funner than I thought." Like everybody who talking in a certain type of way.
That was always the myth. I would always, y'all don't know how to kick it. Y'all don't know how to have fun. And all they're saying is you're not engaging in activities that are demonstrated to me by the mass media as to what you should be doing when it's time. It's Miller time. They literally tell you when to drink, okay, we supposed to be listening to this music, wearing these sneakers at this in this town at this date. Everything you do is curated by forces beyond yourself.
So
So
the
no,
last,
I'll fucking roam, and yeah, and I go to the duck pond and throw sunflower seeds to ducklings, saplings, and I have more fun than all of y'all busting it open on top of a bins.
busting it open. Wait.
But
time
you know
out.
what's not fun
What's that?
is Diallo's choice in coffee. I saw the joke about the oat milk latte. That black unicorn coffee is not good.
You
going
tried
back
it
to
already?
It's not for the
I
weak,
did.
man. I told you, you gotta cut
It's
it.
not.
strong.
It's not about the strength. It's not. In fact, it's not strong enough.
It's
It
just-
wasn't.
oh.
It just wasn't good. It didn't taste good. So I'm
Yeah.
going back to Sweetie's
Diallo
Italian
baby taste
espresso roast. No, I like.
Did you buy the beans?
I did. Of course, I wasn't going to buy it ground. I bought beans. And yeah, support Sweeties. It's literally. I'm glad it's a black woman. I'm happy to support her, but it's literally better. Like I like.
Look at Diallo here.
But remember, I like espresso dark roast, straight, heavy hitting coffee. I don't. Yeah, and there's that I don't even know how to describe it. The black unicorn, it smelled and tastes like just a
Unicorn blood.
Unicorn blood, whatever. It tastes right, whatever I was calling it. Unicorn blood, black
You didn't
unicorn,
get the
whatever I'm
right
calling
shit.
it.
Unicorn
I did get
kiss,
the right.
whatever
I
it
did
is.
absolutely get it. Because I ordered it right when we were talking about it, so I got exactly what you were talking about. I just don't like it.
It's
Mushroom
strong.
coffee
It
is
ain't for the weak,
mushroom-
man. It ain't
mushroom
for the weak.
coffee
Put
is
your hair
bomb.
on your chest.
Now I gotta be weak. I
Put
Jerry, you
already
ever had
had
mushroom
it.
coffee? Mushroom
I
coffee
have
is
had
fire.
mushroom coffee. I have mushroom coffee downstairs.
Mu-
I'm a
mushroom
coffee drink.
coffee
Look,
does-
I don't
it does
look,
the thing.
man.
It does the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Anyway,
This is what gets me in trouble. I start feeling challenged, and I start feeling like I gotta prove my love.
You don't
I
want to
gotta fight
talk
every
battle.
day to
You don't
prove
want
my
to.
love.
You don't want to battle. My setup, man. Listen,
listen,
stay in your lane.
you ain't
You
been
know
to
what?
Central
We were
Coffee
talking
drinking
about. Hold
Central
up,
American
before
coffee.
But
Diallo was
I'm
too
gonna
busy
try
being
Sweeties.
late.
I'm
We
gonna
were
order
talking.
me some Sweeties
Hold on,
right
we were
now.
talking. We were talking before the show about setting up our first EYL live event, and we were saying we were going to do it in Baltimore because it would be easier in the setup. But I think we need to go to Chicago, and because I
We can
want you just get us the venue.
We
I
ain't good
will-
in Chicago. You know, Diallo is one of our hosts in Chicago. We ain't good there.
But I want to see
Y'all not
Diallo
good
set
in
up, and I
Chicago?
want this coffee experience that I'm not apparently strong enough for. And then we'll go do the live event.
We can all squeeze in right here. We don't need no studio. Y'all making
Oh, we're
me
just
do
gonna do it at the
work.
crib.
That's the
We're
only
gonna do it
place
at
we
the
good
crib.
in Chicago. That's the only
You
place.
sit Geechee in the middle. You know, we put Geechee on the desk. He'll fit. Put Geechee just like back in the day before all the car safety shit. You put the on the hump. Geechee will sit in the middle on the hump. You on one side, me on the other. You do it right
Yo.
here, studio, man. I got to make phone calls and leave the house.
Listen, you can't get me and Jared in that house if you don't got the right kind of plants. And them plants don't look like the right ones back there, bro. Nigga, I need the right plants, not that shit. What is that? A tiger eye or something?
Man.
Non sequitur. What that got to do? I'm
We got-
saying we'll pass the
we-
mic around.
Anyway, listen, last question or last comment. So, do y'all know about any economic benefits? Because I know the shit that they talk about, but he said Freaknik wasn't just about partying. But what else was there? You know, like CIAA, they had workshops and other shit like that. Did they have workshops at Freaknik?
I was
I don't
hating from
know.
outside the club. I never was compelled or interested in putting some gas money down. And gas was like what? 87 cents a gallon back then?
70 to 80,
Yeah.
yeah.
$5 a
I
gallon.
remember them.
Yeah.
I used to fill up my Toyota Tercel for $10.
Yeah.
$10.
So, and all you had to do was put in on it. Dudes was sleeping in their cars and washing up in the 7-Eleven, the come and go, washing
That's
up.
when 5 on gas was. That's a 5 on gas
then
meant
they-
something back then. Now 5
Right
on gas.
now, right? 5 okay. Like, where we gonna go? We
you
can't
might
even
look
get-
at
Yeah,
the
I'm
bus.
just saying. I would get invitations. Dudes like, you need to ride with us, man. You missing out. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good because I didn't have no fun back
See,
then.
I didn't even get that. When they were picking the rosters for who was going, I didn't get picked. I just got skipped. they just passed me over.
I
They
was,
was
yeah,
like, nah,
I
we're
was,
not
I was
wasting,
one of
we're
them
not wasting,
backpack.
we're not wasting the roster spot on Jared.
So so we got into this idea of Freaknik being, you know, a fun joint, right? And so early I was looking through this quote, not a quote, but I wanted to post it on social media about everything being political. So I wanted to ask y'all, we've heard this phrase before. I think Kwame Ture talked about being out organized by the state. But one, answer the question, do you think everything is political? But while you're answering that, how do you like analyze or describe where we at? So we won't go from a capture people to what now? And then again, tie in your thoughts on everything being political or not, and then why.
Can I just, I forgive me for breaking protocol. Let me just address this real quick. Leah, yes, I was beyond a cornball. The only thing that saved me from complete nerd status was physical size and some athleticism and a temper.
Jared, you athletic?
I was very athletic and very strong, and I have a temper. But so that, but other than that, it was just a lot of yeah, a lot of cornballness, a lot of corniness. So I was just outside the full cornball lane, just because of the athleticism and physicality. That's it, and a temper, But yeah, no, I was not. It was yeah. So yeah, just wanted to clear that up, Leah. Yes, cornball to the end. All right.
Yeah,
Sorry, is everything political? Diallo, you want to get us started on that?
And then also talk again, like we went from a captured people to how would you describe us at this point before you get into why or why not everything is political?
Let me tell you, everything is politicized, I think would be more accurate. But if I was forced to answer this question, I would automatically say yes, even though I could understand why it would need a more accurate. Everything shouldn't be political, but everything is politicized. So yes, everything is political. And let me tell you, especially for African people, our status, we are a political creation. African Americans were created through legislation, through constitutional amendments, our rights. So we are a political class. We are not self-determined. We were not self-created. We are a byproduct of a political act. And being an oppressed people under genocidal oppression within a racist, oppressive state. So yes, everything is political. And if you're an African person who believes that you exist outside or can dwell outside, or that there is some sanctuary outside of the political structure or political machinations, you are an African person that is even more vulnerable to the insidious agendas of the oppressor. So yes, everything is political. Every African person should define themselves as a political person, engage and maintain an acute awareness of the political landscape of which they dwell. So yes, with an asterisk, absolutely.
All right, Jared, and we went from, or we were a captured people to what now would you call our status? And then same question.
Captured, maybe just differently in a different form. But I agree. I really don't have anything to add. I mean, if this is as close to a full ditto to what Diallo said as I would ever expect. I mean, okay. Yeah, I don't have to elaborate too much.
And what do you think about the phrase or the concept of like the state's collective effort versus our, and then that we are out organized? Like, how would you respond to that phrase of us being out organized? Like, would you agree or?
Well, I mean, sorry. Go ahead, Diallo.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we are. We're definitely out organized and out resourced and at a disadvantage. The only advantage we continue to have is the numbers and the potential. What is it? What do they say in science? The kinetic potential, the whatever of an entity, whatever. But yeah, and that's one quick point, because it came up. It keeps coming up in my classes also. that's why I think it's so important that they spend so much time on mystifying the difference. And that's why we get so much discussion about Illuminati and all this other kind of conspiracy, that so that we don't look at it as an issue of organization and resource and a group of regular human beings who are just more resourced, or regular to the point that they are human, maybe irregular to the point that they're wildly out-resourced and outsized in resource and willing to do things that most of us are not willing to do. I will grant them that. But yeah, I'll stop. Yeah, go ahead.
Diallo, we are
I
organized.
think that's a myth and a fallacy. Black people, we are not out organized. That is not our problem.
Okay.
No, we are not out organized.
So you, when you say organized,
Please
you're not
elaborate. Because break that
mobilization
down.
organization.
The problem is that we are not, that we're out organized, or that we are not organized. Our problem is what we organize and fight for. There's an old saying, and I don't remember who it's attributed to, but when a con man and an honest man engage each other, the honest man always loses. So the problem is, this is more, we're the true believers. So if you have one population of people who is organizing for democracy, who is fighting for democracy, who is fighting for equality, who is fighting for equal representation under the law, and another group of people who are organizing to subvert, exploit. And so we're playing by a different rule book, and the objectives we seek are not the objectives that way, because we get everything. And I don't like saying this because, well, one, it's not completely true, but we're never denied anything we've been ready to organize and pursue, we can secure. So our problem is we fight for the wrong shit. We organize for the wrong shit. African people, just in the United States, let alone the world, have fucking upended history. We have accomplished shit that has never been seen by any other population in this world, from transforming our literacy rate, for coming up under the yoke of direct colonialism quicker than anyone else. I say all the time, Europeans did not arrive on the shores of the New World, on the dark continent of Africa and the exotic lands of Asia. When he didn't arrive there and all of a sudden get the urge to enslave, to mutilate, to genocide. Western Europe and Central Europe were laboratories for all the shit they did when they exited the world. Enslavement, dehumanizations, even these notions of a master race and inferior race. They didn't need black people or native or Asians or any other people. The British would look at the Irish, paler than them, and be like, we are the master race and they are inferior stock of human. They would look at their own countrymen. I am of noble blood and you are of peasant blood. So everything they did, they already had those mentalities and dispositions and imposed that shit on each other before we discovered them. So I think our problem is, it's not that we don't fight or we don't organize. We fight and organize for the wrong shit. And we put way too many resources into shit that is destined to fail. We seek equality with our oppressors without ever really taking a look at what equality with the oppressor looks like. Even now, you got black people out here promoting entrepreneurialism and capitalism and leaving out imperialism, ecocide and destruction and hyper exploit. We really believe we can do Christianity and Islam without conquest. We can do capitalism without hyper exploitation and enslavement of workers. We believe we can do family values without patriarchal misogyny. So we adopt this shit and we organize for this shit. And then when we win, or as Del Jones said, we lose so much, we don't know what a victory looks like. So I don't think our problem is that we're out organized. I think our problem is we organize for the wrong shit. We mobilize and lose entire generations fighting for shit we should have threw in the trash can, closing wealth gaps.
So real quick, so I see some in the chat of agreeing, and I see some like, what are you talking about? So Jared, in terms of understanding that the state are in control of the domains of discourse, can point you to what you need to be focused on, what you not to be focused on. What do you think in terms of does that still mean that we're out organized? Because the reason why we focus on the wrong shit is because of their propaganda and other things.
So that I think that's definitely part of it, but it's also for me the what I had to catch up to in Diallo's response is the we part. So my initial, when I start with the we, I'm thinking of the black radical wing of the black community initially. Because broadly speaking, the problem I think is in fact what you both just spoke to. One, the narrative playing field, so to speak, has been wildly limited and pre-defined and set up for us not to find solutions. That's why when Fred Hampton used to say, we don't ask the right questions. That's why we get answers that don't answers and conclusions that don't conclude. So that's part of it. So when I was my initial response, I'm thinking, there's globally speaking, very clear analytically, theoretically, ideologically, movements, efforts, organizations that have historically just been the first and primary targets of the most vicious and well-resourced wing of the enemy, which leaves for the rest of the most of us globally that false narrative playing field on which to struggle around what to do and how to do it. So that does lead us to what I think Diallo is right to talk about, the narrowing of that playing field. And then we spend a lot of time on issues and endeavors that, even if successful, will not lead to the conclusions that we ultimately want, because that's been part of the point. Right. So that's, but yeah, so.
So speaking of, go ahead, Diallo, you on mute.
Excuse me. Dale Jones said that the white man is more dangerous at the negotiation table than he is at the battlefield. And we fought for concessions from this system. We burned down cities. We disrupted the global economy. And that's without even being, or that's unconscious. That's mass mobilization. If you just look at our mass mobilizations and what we were able to do.
Unconscious?
I'm just quoting Kwame Ture, where he talked about the distinction between mass mobilization and mass organizing. And it's just, when we fight for concessions and we secure concessions, we fighting for the wrong shit. These people's agenda, like, we're even confused about what they do and why they do it.
Why are we fighting for the wrong shit? Why?
But so
I think because of lack of radical analysis and lack of radical ideology, I think is two of the biggest problems that I find.
And
but those are but those are targeted. That's why Ture's quote was, the job of the conscious is to make the unconscious conscious of their unconscious behavior. So because he's saying that the unconscious tendency to rebel needs the organization of the conscious effort, and the only reason it doesn't get to that level is because of the oppressive forces that limit that playing field. So, but again, but that's where I was trying to tease out that distinction when you're saying we do this, we do that.
Well, I'm talking about the masses. I'm not talking specifically about
but that's an important point, because the masses, quote unquote, are led where they're led because of the very targeted nature of the
conscious people come out of the masses, and we're inextricably linked with the masses. So even though we have different thoughts and different aspirations and different approaches and different more sophisticated analysis, I thought you were talking about the masses. If we're talking critiquing the Black conscious community or the Black revolutionary Pan-Africanism specifically, that's a different discussion. But I'm talking about all of us.
Right. So, but wait. See, this is, Diallo is a very challenging interlocutor, because you on the one hand, you drew the distinction between the conscious and the masses, and then use that against my answer, which is trying to put them all back together, and then frame it as I'm the one pulling them apart. No, what I'm saying is all of us are struggling against this narrative dominance that limits what we think is possible and what should be targeted for organizational effort. Those who those who try to evolve a certain politic that goes beyond the acceptable narrative are targeted with, and that's the part I like to put a lot of emphasis on, because that's what creates that to the extent that it exists, that fracture between the so-called vanguard and the masses. And the masses are struggled to catch up or to become part of it because of all that narrative interruption. So that's okay. All right.
So from your research, experience, analysis, how would you suggest, or how do you think our people could take power? Get or take power? Like, so you say that we're fighting for the wrong shit, Diallo. You would agree that we are out-organized, Jared. But what would you advise, or what do you think is a way for us to take power?
I think the main problem, if I had to will it down to one sentence, we are a people fighting for coexistence against the people who are fighting for absolute dominance. So even when we win, we allow for the space and the setup for them to regroup and re-emerge. They fight for absolute total dominance. We fight for peaceful coexistence. And that, I think, is what we fail to grasp. We do a lot of projecting onto our oppressors and our enemies. And we really think, well, you know, if they make enough money, if they can feel secure, if we can demonstrate to them our capacity to be good citizens, our capacity to be good students and achieve academically, our capacity to be CEOs, to our capacity to coach or quarterback, not just be linemen. If we keep sending our best and brightest youth to demonstrate our capacity, our willingness, and our worthiness to people who don't give a fuck about that. If we really want to discuss this, only thing these people appreciate and respect is mutually assured destruction. That's the only model. You cannot negotiate terms. You cannot make a reasonable argument. You cannot buy or earn your way out of. You cannot entrepreneur your way out of. You cannot educate or academic your way out of, because only framework they operate on is, do you have the capacity and will to kill me as I have to do you? And if you lack the equal capacity and will, and once you get to a position of mutually assured destruction, then and only then do these people sit at the table and make peace and negotiate and make concessions. And they define peace as an opportunity to regroup and re-engage with warfare in every situation, in every epoch in history. And here we got us questioning ourselves like, damn, we ain't unified. We don't have enough unity. We don't have enough money. There's never enough unity. There's never enough money. There's never enough black banks and black businesses. There's never enough two-parent solid black family homes. Because all of those things they claim we need to get now existed under oppression. Many of the things they claim they want now existed under slavery and colonization. So we have to finally come to terms that we are up against an omnicidal enemy, an enemy with an insatiable death urge. And that's what should be the foundations of what we organize for and what our ultimate goal should be. Completely removing the capacity of these people to wage war, removing whatever instruments, tools they have available to themselves. And I think when we really start to talk about anything other than harm reductions or navigation of these choppy waters of white hegemony, global white domination cannot exist on a humane, functional, vibrant world. We have to destroy all institutions and infrastructures of capitalism and global white hegemony, mainly their international and global war machines. And that is a grand task that will take multiple generations, that we don't even entertain that shit. We think, how do we thrive under this shit instead of how do we completely obliterate it? That's our fucking problem. And all the organization in the world will not fix you. Like the most well constructed vehicle in the world will not get you where you're going if you're on the wrong path.
So it depends on who's doing the organizing and what is being organized. So going back to the very beginning, that's where I was trying to catch up to where Diallo is on defining the we, because we started from different points. So the we I'm starting from, just as an example, is expressed here in the late great Russell Maroon Schultz work from his book The Implacable. And just give me a moment to read this, and then to finish my thought on this, if I could, because I don't want to be misunderstood, but I think will help for me clarify the distinction that I want to draw from what Diallo is talking about, because I largely agree with what Diallo is saying, but in terms of this point about who is the we doing the organizing, and on what basis are we doing that organizing, that's where I think we disagree. And I ultimately would want to, because the narrative capture that has us falsely organizing, to Diallo's point, is intended to negate this. So, as Schultz says here, what's called nonviolence is often juxtaposed as the opposite of violence by those who want to believe that our species can somehow remove ourselves from the violent universe of which we are a part, a tiny part, while continuing to participate in the violent phenomena that are responsible for our existence, such as the violent movement of tectonic plates that continue to shape the very ground under our feet. Counterposing nonviolence to violence, however, totally confuses the progression of these phenomena. One cannot properly understand violence without recognizing its kinetic aspect, the motion of material bodies and the force and energy associated with that motion. This is a state that the already mentioned examples of violence exhibit. We cannot violate the laws of physics, which dictate that a body in motion cannot be checked without a body possessing an equal or greater counter motion. So we have to look elsewhere if we want to locate an opposite kinetic energy to serve that purpose, since nonviolence by its very description cannot be scientifically understood to contain a counter kinetic energy. In fact, the opposite of violence is counter-violence, a kinetic energy force that is capable of providing a counter motion, thereby satisfying the laws of physics, and can also serve as a check on the forward or reverse movements of violence. All things being equal, this is what can lead to a synthesis between the two, which would then be nonviolence. So in addition to fully agreeing with that analysis, my point in addition to what Diallo has said is, on that basis, we are being out-organized and need great degrees of organization that will be transferable intergenerationally to do what Diallo accurately describes must be done. The effort against that, and Schultz and the like, is to create the false narrative upon which most, I think Diallo is right in saying, are organizing, which is merely to survive, to exist, to do well within, and so on and so forth. But that is done to negate the analysis coming out of certain wings of our communities that we do need to enhance organization around. And that's where I do find the possible potential. So even when the idea of however we want to define violence, the inability for the current system to progress and to function properly is ultimately what I'm talking about disturbing and upending. How that occurs can be any number of different ways, and then the violence can be defined any number of different ways. But that element, I think, is what I think we need greater, or that area is where I think we need greater organization, no effort to do the things that I agree Diallo said need to be done.
So considering like geopolitics and sanctions, for example, ECOWAS put sanctions on states, and this include like border closures, stop and transit routes, where prevent people from getting food and medicine and things like that. Can y'all speak to maybe what you would know about or would be similar to sanctions that the U.S. do to its U.S. citizens, maybe like in a Baltimore in a city, like how would you relate what sanctions happen internationally to what could be considered similar to sanctions domestically? Again, this is to tie everything's political. Sometimes people think the water is just as is and it has no kind of political connection. So if you can describe some type of sanction-like thing that the U.S. does to its own citizens, what would y'all say? Ecologically, too,
Can
if
you
you
put
ever
that in the form of a question?
Yeah. So,
Not by
so,
now?
so you understand how sanctions happen in the in internationally, right? The U.S. will do something and it will harm people. And so, for instance, in Central America, I have people I know who will complain that Nicaragua is this, Venezuela is this, and they won't understand how sanctions impact that. So I was saying, if you have any examples of how something like a sanction can happen to U.S. cities. So Flint's water is bad. Some things go on in Chicago. Food apartheid, things like that. Like, is there any type of sanction like
I mean,
thing?
all of that. So-called Obamacare is a sanction on universal health care. The Flint water crisis that's still ongoing is a sanction on all these austerity measures are a sanction on people's capacity to produce space that would provide the room to intellectually and physically create change that is necessary. All of that. The police and prisons are a sanction on peace and privacy, and the stuff we talked about with Barrett Brown the other day is the cyber intelligence complex is a sanction on our freedom and our surveillance and access to frames and ways of interpreting the world. And the more I think about that interview, the more terrifying his argument is that we're getting to a point where the sanction on our ability to understand the world around us is getting to the point where there will be no resistance because no one will think that anything is here to resist against, to Diallo's even his previous point. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's exactly what you meant, but that's what I would think of in the immediate.
Yeah. So Diallo, you have something like that that probably wasn't mentioned just now?
Yeah, if Jared is absolutely right. If I had to distill it down, I call it one-sided class war, where they convince all of U.S. that there are no classes, there are just hard workers and lazy people, and then the people who actually understand that there are very distinct classes, they get into arenas. They tell people that American judicial system and the American legal system and the American political system is dysfunctional and just don't even vote. And they literally fund campaigns to and then they go to all the state houses around the country and fund lobbyists to get favorable legislation and tax policies. So the history of America is as much a history of one-sided class war as it is racism and imperialism and what you call that shit? Genocide. Yeah, that too. So I think that white folks, and that's another thing where I say it's insane that we wasted so many resources in seeking equality with white people, because I think you can only be absolutely ignorant of the history of the average working class white man and woman throughout. You can go back to the Dark Ages and beyond, but just from the Industrial Revolution, just the modern era, to really know the history of the white masses and to think that that is an aspirational goal to get to is a what they call Bobby Wright said, a pathological denial of history.
Right. So Diallo's statement leads to the last question on this. So he said the history of America. And I remember also when I'm in Central America, they actually also call America instead of the Americas. Some people struggle to say, America is the Americas. But how do both of y'all feel the U.S. look or show up internationally? Would you say is weak, strong, arrogant, failing? Like, how would you describe the United States internationally? Like the condition or whatever.
Well, I think the really, and I think we get kind of confused because we look at everything through the spectrum of the United States government as opposed to the interests that the United States government acts on behalf of, like the multinational corporate interests and the capitalist class. The capitalist class, if you are to believe Milton Friedman and the Alexis and the olive tree, they're pretty much stateless. And they look at governments the same way they look at everything else. It is a resource to be exploited or tapped into. So even when you say a lot of places, the U.S. is the global hegemon, it is the sole military superpower, not necessarily economic anymore, but it's the sole military superpower. And so the U.S., even though we could sit around and say, yeah, the influence of the United States is waning, which I would agree in certain parts, it's definitely lost a lot of legitimacy, and it's in certain parts of the country, it's waning. But here's the problem. We could go back and say, yay, the British Empire is waning. Yay, the Portuguese power and influence is waning. Yay, the Spanish Armada is withdrawing, and the influence of the Spanish monarchy is waning. And we see these particular vehicles for global white hegemony, ebbing and flowing, receding and contracting, where the overall capitalism and white hegemony, the overall system, is not strictly rooted in the United States. So as you see, just like when the British Empire retracted, the United States stepped up. So yes, the United States influence is appropriately and necessarily contracting in certain parts, not enough for me to get ready to pull out any confetti or a baton to have a parade and dance on the grave of the U.S. empire. It's contracting, but I think we missed the greater point. We've seen several thrones or seats of white imperialism collapse, while the overall system and infrastructure, it reminds me of that quote from Carter G. Woodson, where even you have people who are victims of imperialism, racism, white hegemony, ready and eager to step up and play the role or be a placeholder until the West can reassert itself. So yes, U.S. influence is waning because of its own contradictions and missteps and hypocrisy, and because of its own greed too, because it went overseas to build up the industrial infrastructure of other nations so that they could circumvent labor laws and unions. So yes, it is, but that's not necessarily a victory against imperialism. It could just be a reshuffling of the chairs of global white hegemony and capitalism, and they'll just establish a new seat.
I agree. What was Frederick Douglass's line about slavery? Something about it'll just shake off its skin, and the snake will shake off its skin and keep on moving in a new form or something like that. And then the note I just made to myself to add to that is this is what the Lisa Thompson Greenfields and other Black excellences represent in the world when they enter the state apparatus, that they bring that into that global corporate consultancy worldview that I don't think she worked for McKinsey. I think she worked with the Albright Group, but the or something like that. But the McKinsey types, they are stateless in the sense that they only use state structures to organize their anonymity in manipulating and ruling. So yeah, that was really it. Linda, I'm sorry. What did I say? Lisa, Linda.
Yeah, Linda.
Sorry, Linda. Sorry, my apologies. Linda Thomas Greenfield. Let me get it the full name correct.
Linda.
What did I say? I said Lisa again.
No,
Lisa,
no.
Listen.
Linda, listen, Linda.
Oh, Linda, listen. Right, Linda. My bad. Linda Thomas Greenfield. That even though I keep getting her name wrong, she's often who I think of as a symbol of that. But yeah, that's
I was trying to pull a picture of her. Niger.
a picture of what?
No, a picture of Linda. Linda, listen, lady. This is Linda?
Yeah. Linda Thomas Greenfield.
Oh, not Thompson. Thomas.
No, Thomas. I got all the names wrong, but the yes. Thank you, Big Pun, David Silberg. Linda Thomas Greenfield.
Diallo, didn't you call Condoleezza something? What would you call her? Something?
Conolingus.
Right?
Well, that's Dave Chappelle. Now you're gonna steal Dave Chappelle's line, even as you
he ain't using it no more.
Castigate him. Shame.
Yeah, he's getting that. Him and Elon Musk. He's up there with them now. He's up there with Congolingus rice.
He don't need no.
Send her to sound like a Mexican dish. Send her to Mexico so the Mexicans can eat her up.
And actually, now that you mention it, he made fun of her and her name while playing a character that he was making fun of. So he wasn't necessarily voicing his own personal displeasure with her
because he
or
loves
politics.
folks. He's up there with them.
So we got a few comments on this segment. Shout out to ZZ Lion with I like black coffee. You know what? I don't like sugar or cream or none of that stuff if the coffee is good and not no basic.
Pause.
Did I say something or he did?
Look, you gotta read the whole quote. You pull in the thing.
The original BBC. I see.
Pause.
No sugar. Yo, ZZ wildin'. But he
Terrible.
put 5 on it so he can say shit like that for 5. We can give you that. Freaknik has some dope.
Get you like what? I don't see the issue here.
I don't see what's wrong. I don't understand.
I'm well aware.
I don't remember any Freaknik ciphers. Uncle Luke doing Freaknik ciphers. Who did Freak? I don't remember none of those hip hop ciphers of Freaknik.
They didn't make it into the documentary. That's for sure.
Oh shit! Back then, you could go to Washington Square Park in the Village and hear better ciphers. You can go to fucking
Probably go to U Street in DC for sure.
Go to Ebbets Field.
Ebbets
Field. 5, we take back Ebbets Field.
Hey, listen, we got all these $5 on everything. We might get few loud packs when we finish this session. Let's get it. Is everything politicized because in the system everything is commodified? Jared, will you say that?
I agreed with what Diallo. I mean, in the context that we're in, everything is political. I think we have to understand that. And even if we weren't in this context, I think everything is political. But yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Right on, James.
How about Goddess? We're in that open air prison called America. Would you call America open air prison, or would you say that's? And
I would even, to your point of your Latin American reference, the Americas. I keep seeing people. I have sometimes some friendly debates with some folks around this. People talk about the need for a passport. We got to be able to get to here and there and there and here. And I'm like, where are you going? Like where like Kamal's favorite white man Chomsky said a minute ago that the point of the military being everywhere is that it sees everywhere on the planet. When you're the empire, he said, when you're the colonizer, everywhere is your backyard. So like, where are you going?
Y'all channeling Alex Jones now.
Maybe.
Remember prisonplanet.com? That early Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Jerry, yes, no.
You said you wouldn't call it an open air prison, Diallo. Why not?
The globalist. Prisonplanet.org. Y'all on some Alex Jones shit.
Now, Bob,
I don't want to ever be anywhere near repeating some shit Alex Jones said. So
look, I got it here. You got to buy my preparatory packs. In here, you got everything you need to survive the apocalypse.
Is that a prayer box? Is that a prayer box?
No, it's actually my Hickory Ridge Village Board business cards.
But I do want to give some level. I do want to give some level of caution when saying open air prison.
Okay.
Even though I agree with the sentiment, godless crew, she always, the goddess always comes with the blessing, and embedded at the core of every blessing is a curse. So be very careful when the godless crew comes with something,
This guy.
because
Man, stop.
you're talking about the Gaza Strip and
which
the
is not
West
the only
Bank.
type of.
When
Which
you're
is not the only
talking
type.
about Dannemora, Sing Sing,
Mhm.
Supermax prisons. So people who do, even though we are not free, we are under oppression, but people who do have a level of mobility and maneuverability up under the shackles of oppression start to call ourselves prisoners. I don't really want to take away from the fact that this system has a genocidal mass incarceration infrastructure, and people are directly in prison. So yes, we are all under surveillance. We are all of our movement is somewhat restricted, limited, and monitored. But I think we should just be cautious not to start. Oh, we're all prisoners, and we're all in prison. So I agree with that sentiment and that awareness that this freedom that they will America land of the free and all that is bunk. And to caution people to be aware that you shouldn't be patriotic. The state is not your friend or your ally. But as far as going so far as to say we're prisoners or in a prison, when there are people who really do exist, I mean, just go to Lakota territory and native country. You go to the Oklahomas and go to the Native American reservations and shit. So I just a bit of caution and just a pinch of hateration on Godless Crew. But other than that, I understand.
So we appreciate the hate, but I just want from my perspective, let me just clarify where I'm coming from on that. Let me share this real quick. This is where I'm coming from.
Don't think that this genocide that we're watching won't come home to haunt us and to apply to us. And then we're going to ask ourselves, well, where is the Black Liberation Army now? Where is our ability to hold the enemy of Black African people to account for what they do to us? We don't have that. We don't have that movement now. And that's one of the most depressing things about having lived through a failed revolutionary process, encapsulated revolutionary process, is that you get to see these things. I never thought I would see a genocide in plain sight on TV every day, and nobody did anything about it.
But anyways, that's all I meant. That not that there are no differences, but that our oppression is connected and it is global. That's it. But I hear you, Diallo, and the hateration is always.
So
Is Diallo?
Yeah. So when you was speaking, that popped up, and like, so you're saying
No.
separatism is the thing? Go ahead.
No. Well, here's the problem with separatism. There is no sanctuary. Where the fuck you gonna separate to?
Maroonage separation?
There's no physical separation. This is a globe. I mean, they got discarded cola and plastic garbage waste in the Marianas Trench. They've polluted and dumped trash and waste on the highest peak of the mountain. The upper atmosphere, even space is polluted. So there is no separation. No, I call for dismantling of unjust hierarchies, the utter destruction, and then creating an infrastructure that is extremely hostile to the reemergence of unjust hierarchies. I call for putting the ecosystem over the economy and for humanity to live within ecological limits. But no, I don't call for separations. You want me to divorce my white wife? And no. We should all come together.
Milk, honey, the milk and toast.
Right. We should all, come together.
Wise to Dawn, peace for the $9.99 and the 2000.
Wise to the Dawn TV.
Appreciate you. So yeah, I have when I was hiking last week, which is Saturday, I think. So there's a brother hike with Benji in Atlanta. He actually from the same place I'm from, but he live in Atlanta. And they was talking about one of the sisters there, she dropped a water bottle and she's like, oh, I don't want to lose the water. Yeah, we running out of water. And I comment to one of them like, yo, this is the same water that been on the planet since it's been here. And when we lose our ability to clean water, there is the problem. Would you agree in terms of water being the political situation, but our ability to clean it or not, would that be more of a problem than running out of water? More so to your question, Diallo? The eco.
I don't think. I think our ability to clean water. I think the hydrological cycle is a natural. The planet naturally distills water. So it's not the fact that we can't clean or lose the ability to clean water. I think more so the issue is the contamination of water and the obstruction of waterways and the building and erection of dams. And a big part of that is the meat-based diet. One of the main sources outside of industrial production, militarism, and meat industry, industrial scale meat production are the top 3 things that disrupt and destroy water. So I think it's not about the capacity to purify water, but the being intelligent enough not to contaminate the water in the first place, or disrupt the hydrological cycle.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. Like our engagement on the planet could, like, so for instance, if it is argued that the forest that was cleared for a cop city in Atlanta is like a lungs to Atlanta, which affects the water and air. When you take the forest away and you add bombs and other chemicals to it, you're actually, harming the water as well. So I guess, and then also there's water treatment and waste treatment things at the state, right? So
no getting to me.
So I just remember, in addition to what Diallo was saying, I think my bigger concern might be the headline or the story I remember reading in grad schools. This is years ago, but the story was in the U.S. News and World Report was that water will be to the 21st century what oil was to the 20th. And in terms of the capturing and accumulation of the resource and the ability to deliver clean water, it's going to be. So if that's where we're headed,
we're already there.
So what? So then that is I think even greater than the problem of. I don't know. I'll just say what my thought is. Maybe I'm wrong here, but my initial thought is that's even a greater problem than the ecological or the technological problem. It's the political problem of if we solve the ecological and the technical, who gets what's here? And if it's all accumulated and distributed by a handful of lunatics and whatevers, we're in trouble.
Elon.
So, and to what I was listening to, what Diallo was, you're right, exactly. What I was listening to Diallo's point about separation, I was thinking that's why I think we need to. I was conceiving of us as becoming termites. Like we can't really go anywhere as much as we can internally destroy from within what it is that is been imposed on us, and that's the way I think. So yeah, but just quick 2 cents there on that one.
So when we was talking about sanctions, this is one of the ways we can understand ourselves as internally colonized alongside our structural location. And then also like shout out to Sanctions book that Ricky and several other BAT members and other people wrote. Thought it was pretty dope. Would you agree with Chitamacha increasingly weakening the country, the US?
Oh,
and I think this goes along with this one too, in terms of like militarily strong.
So that's what I was thinking.
Listen, I'm not on the same reading level as y'all. I'm sitting on the rug in the back of the classroom. Y'all sitting up front at the desk in the classroom.
Not because you can't read, you just refuse to read.
Stuff up, boom, boom, boom.
You like a Floyd Mayweather.
You even get into it.
That Philly
not
show.
Right.
But this is the point I keep thinking about, that when people keep talking about the collapse of the US dollar and the loss of its influence in the world, to whatever extent that is true, what does everybody have in mind for the military part? Because to what Diallo was saying, these folks are lunatics and cannot wait to put to use all these toys and weapons they got stockpiled. So I just don't understand where that's the part where people are saying, you know, balances of power are slowly emerging in other parts of the world and threatening U.S. hegemony. Maybe, but at some point, somebody's going to have an answer for this thing's military. And that's why I like that Daruba clip too. Because again, my job on one of the most powerful war machines that humans have ever put together was to be on a 50 cal machine gun mount, because slow moving, low technological warfare was a threat that could not be accommodated by all of its advanced weaponry systems. So at the end of the day, they had me and some white boy from Massachusetts in flak jackets on the edge of the ship. And that's why I was like, I'm out. As soon as somebody comes over here, I'm out. Because this is crazy. But I always like to just leave that little thought out there. It's I think, a very important point. But yeah, anyway.
But do you think Russia, China, or Russia and China could stop U.S. and or NATO? Or do you think they're the big bad unstoppable at this point?
Well, I don't know if Russia and China can stop NATO. Russia and China seem capable of, for their own sakes, creating somewhat of this balance that the U.S. has to address itself to. And that I somehow feel like the U.S. and its rulers benefit from. Because at the end of the day, being able to claim that Russia and China are a threat allows for endless resources to go to their military contracts, to their public policy, to their restrictions of civil liberties, and to their imposition of greater levels of surveillance, and so on and so on and so on. Banning TikTok, all of that.
We're about to get to that. We're gonna get to that.
So I mean, yeah. So I yeah.
Okay. Diallo, I don't know if you were shaking your head.
I'm still. What was the previous comment?
No, it's just that the U.S. image is weakening globally.
Yeah, it's like Jared said. To me, people talking about the weakening dollar is like talking about the weakening doubloon. I mean, I think we have to go a little deeper in our analysis. And I think there was a comment that I starred that kind of addresses some of us really. Dr. Bobby Wright said, we've been in this country longer than anybody and we understand it the least. And how many times have we seen the seat of white power change hands while white power sustains itself? During World War II, when all the Western powers were engaged in a global scale murder orgy, and we all in the decolonial movement and the civil rights movement came right on the heels of that, we were like, yeah, this shit is done. And it re-entrenched. And now the only thing it is done with civil rights and us getting our rights is that it has more of us fighting on behalf of the empire and more associating ourselves with the empire than we did before. So we thought we was getting free from it when we got into a what do they call that shit? What do they call that marriage? Like the pre-planned marriage?
Rearrange?
Shotgun wedding?
Prearrange?
What when the person doesn't have a choice in the like they prearranged marriage,
yeah,
something like that. You know, it's one of those coerced shotgun weddings where we're more dependent on and more entrenched in the empire than we were before. So I think there ain't no shortcuts to this shit, and that's what we're looking for. Well, maybe it'll just collapse on its own, and we'll be standing in the rubble.
James Irvin looked like he in Central America, brother. I see a waterfall back there.
Don't be jealous. You had your chance there, and you couldn't hold it down.
And you came back to Babylon
without a trad wife. You came back without a submissive trad wife.
All right, I want to say thanks to all y'all. Most folks are not aware of how to drown out Diallo, how to deal with the system. Y'all are the great thinkers of today, and the top don't want what y'all are saying to come out the top. Pause.
No, thank you very much.
Yeah, for that $10 in that comment. Who did this? This was Diallo. This your highlighted thing?
Yes. But
I like
here's
that picture too.
here's the trick,
Robe
and
thing.
here's the
There is
rub.
no other Western notion that can replace the waning U.S.
Nation, not notion.
Nation. Oh, sorry. There is no other Western nation that can replace the waning U.S. Sorry about that. Shout
Can I
out to
tell you
Robeson.
something?
Is that
The
Mabuba in there?
The United States wasn't a Western nation till they made it one. The United States is not a Western nation until they made it a fucking Western nation. Just back a couple of decades ago, South Africa was a Western nation. This shit has no borders. It respects no borders.
Australia is a NATO.
Right. Australia is a Western nation. So even if you don't see currently a Western nation that can replace the U.S., that same thing was said about the sun never set on the British Empire, and there could never be another British Empire. The Spanish and the Portuguese, the Spanish Armada will never, ever be overcome. There are no shortcuts. So there are plenty Western nations that are prepared and eager to take over. There are many non-Western nations that are fully infected with totalitarian mentalities, totalitarian states, Western religions, Western economic ambitions, and Western economic values. There are many infected so-called non-Western nations that are well primed to step up. Militarist, reactionary, capitalist, Christian, Islamic, even Hindu and Buddhist. Look at India and its machinations. So I'm just saying, I want the same things y'all want, but I guess I'm a little, once bitten, twice shy. So I've seen this shit fall too many times to count it out too early.
This looked like a Jared's highlight.
I did, because the Alex Jones, they're turning the frogs gay.
Chemicals in the water that are turning the frogs gay.
I have to quit. I just can't do this anymore. They're turning the frogs gay.
What the fuck? Ribbit. All right, man. For the 199.
My bad. My bad. Put that back. I messed that up. I did that by accident. I'm trying to get rid of
we got the 190. You come on, they giving us money and you trying to,
I know, I'm messing up.
Colony is open air prison.
Okay.
Here's another Jared.
I'm just saying, if I was in Rikers Island and I saw.
Oh, I didn't do that.
Oh, Diallo did. Blame the meat.
Coffee and I not say industrial meat production, but if you feel guilty, you should change. I don't blame meat eaters. I said the industrial meat eaters. But I will say this: if you are in a situation where you can end or reduce your consumption of animal and animal byproducts, if you can, and still meet all your nutritional needs, I think that is the appropriate thing to do. But I said the meat industry. So go on and buy your loins.
But didn't I read somewhere that one of the greatest uses of water is industrial almond production? Isn't
almond? Which
I thought I've read that before, which was disturbing. Because I'm over here, I want to blame the meat eaters. I'm over here with my higher level vegan self.
I ain't never really had no vegan.
I'm a high value man.
Mean ass vegan, Joe. All my vegan life, it's been not meat eaters that been mean. Not that I don't know a lot of like judgmental vegans. I never met them, never ran into them folks.
All right, I'm not gonna. I'm sure there's some.
No, I'm saying they're out there.
Okay,
they're out there. I don't know. I don't know. No. I don't know them.
And let me tell you something. Let me tell you this. I'd rather be downriver from an almond farm than
absolutely.
Okay. So
no question. No question. I'm with you. Absolutely.
A world away from using the almond for cattle.
No, I'm with you. That's right. And there's no almond farms don't cause people to get feces rained down on them either.
But
methane gas.
You know what is harming the people?
Times the magnitude of carbon.
I tell you what is harming the people.
Emissions. So
social
real
media.
quick though, I saw on one of my atheist channels, there was a very interesting discussion because there are people who are trying to prove Noah's Ark scientifically, which is hilarious. And one of the arguments against it that I saw was that somebody just was trying to do the basic math on the methane gas produced by all the animals that would be on the ark. And apparently the Bible says the ark only had one window across the top. And they were just saying by that alone would have killed every animal and person on Noah's Ark just from the feces and the
No, there
farts
was a window,
alone.
remember?
No, I know, but they were
4 cubits
saying
by 5 cubits.
right. But I'm saying, but
ventilation.
they broke it down scientifically to show that one window would not have been nearly enough to ventilate. And they talked about all the high industrial ventilation technology that exists today to keep animals in barns and stuff like that safely. And they were like, I doubt Noah had that. I'm just saying, I thought it was just fascinating that people were really trying to, Noah's Ark happened and they were trying to show scientifically.
How do you apply and secure them type of jobs?
Of what?
Of working on the Noah's Ark research team.
There's a lot of money on these YouTube streets for conservative thought.
Oh,
so there's a lot of these. Yeah.
I'm waiting. I'm just trying to build up my leftist
saying.
reputation so I can then, Russell Brand my shit.
No, we're almost at 900 live viewers here today, which I believe would be a record for us. So if we hit, that's what I was going to say. If we hit 1,000 or 2, it's going to be a race. We're going to be racing out the EYL door.
These crazy leftists.
Yep. And we blame it all on Geechee and his immaturity. His youthful immaturity and radicalism.
What I do, shorty? What I do? Hey,
so
listen,
yes, please hit the like button. Thank you, man.
From an elder.
All right, my bad. What are you trying to show us here? Go ahead.
No, I actually was trying to switch us to what is destroying America, but y'all hating from outside the club.
All right, go ahead. No, I just wanted to finish with my little Noah's Ark.
Once you said Noah's Ark, I was wanting to say shout out to my sister Faith. We are working on our second children's book, and I got a little Noah's Ark page on there where we let them buckers round up 2 by 2 and get back on the boat and float the fuck on.
Oh, wow. So you build a Noah. So you got to call that like the Ark of Ma'at or something. You got to give it an African name. Send them fools the Yaqub Ark.
All I know, we trying to drop this second children's book, and you got the buckers getting on 2 by 2. If y'all know the reference, you know the reference, but if you don't, too bad.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. But yeah, we talk about what is destroying the U.S. and what is tearing us down and keeping us dumb.
U.S. ain't us.
It's some Chinese apps.
Them Chinese apps, man. ByteDance. So TikTok is just fucking up the world, right? TikTok is convincing people to not think and vote for whoever, right? So what do y'all think about this? Like I guess Zionists now are claiming that TikTok are proven or spreading lies, misinformation. And yeah, I wonder what y'all think about the situation going on, how the U.S. is trying to force TikTok owners to
been saying it.
What's that?
Barrett Brown is right. The whole thing is the U.S. wants a monopoly of persona management, psychological warfare, surveillance, manipulation, data mining, et cetera, and so forth, and to have an excuse outlet simultaneously while having an excuse outlet to blame all of the social ills on someone else. So TikTok is perfect. They don't want TikTok to compete with the intelligence community or the ruling elite's ability to manipulate us through social media and messaging and narrative control, et cetera, and so forth, surveillance, data mining, whatever. But at the same time, it's beautiful to be able to say everything that's happening wrong is because of what China is doing. And then you see it all throughout these YouTube streets, in my classroom, where people are saying they follow those talking points and they say, well, China, if you look at TikTok in China, it's all math and science and poetry and high-level thinking. And then you look at TikTok here and it's all booty shaking and ignorance. So it's China that's doing this to us. Because when I'm on Twitter and Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook and everywhere else, it's just high-level thinking. It's just all genius level radical thought. But so yeah, I mean, so anyway, that would be my quick.
So Diallo, there's this thing of social media being the devil. So one, they're saying TikTok is a platform that's telling lies, and but what do you think about like the overall curse of social media? Like the social media age is bad or whatever, but there's an argument where you can get uncontrolled information and you can get you can get news or information that corporate media don't give you. But what's your thought about, I guess, the negativity against social media at large, even before you get into your thoughts of TikTok?
I think social media is a wonderful tool. I think capitalism corrupts everything, from the printing press to the radio to radars to broadcast television to AM FM radio. All of that shit was for shit under capitalist and commodification. It was all for shit. And it all started off good and all had wonderful potential. But once the capitalists get hold of it, they fucking return it against the people. So I think social media, and it's like we act like everything is brand new, you know. But from the founding of the printing press, mass media, the people in power, the hegemons, whether it's a monarch or a president or a CEO, the people who unjustly hold power and the people who unjustly hold the majority of the resources always control mediums of communication as well as the content of mass communication. And I find it hard. I'm not really crying and I'm not about to fight for TikTok. This is more like a hostile takeover than a banning. Remember, what's really embedded in that is that they're trying to force TikTok to sell. So this is machinations, and China is not really a nation that we can really cry about, because if you look at their internal business practices, if you've done yourself or you know anyone that's tried to do business in China or migrate to China, so it's not as though China is a passive or innocent victim. And so this is a conflict that I understand users, because I'm not on TikTok. I don't use TikTok, but I have some friends that are putting out some really good shit on TikTok, from comedy to insights. Go check out Rip's World. It's fucking hilarious. That's my homie. Has a TikTok that's I watch. But as far as its access and what it means to the users, I'm sympathetic to that. But as far as the TikTok, the company that owns TikTok, and the government of China and the government of US, these are, you know, giants banging on each other, and we are the reeves getting trampled in this thing. So it's more, but I would call it more of a hostile takeover, which happens utilizing the government than a whatchamacallit. And also, I think a big component of that is there's a lot of pro-Palestinian content on TikTok, and a lot of information that used to be able to come out on Twitter before Dave Chappelle's homie Elon Musk fucked up the Twitter algorithm. And so a lot of people migrated to TikTok to get information out about atrocities and injustices that people don't want to have. So I know that the Zionist lobby and the Zionist machine, propaganda machine, is really going hard to get more direct control over TikTok for their own interests. So there are a lot of tentacles in this fight. Very few of the tentacles are fighting on behalf of the masses of the people, or fighting in the interest of the masses of the people. So I'm sympathetic to TikTok users, but I ain't about to come out here and fight for a multinational corporation, media corporation. And the U.S. Congress is full of shit, is on some extreme bullshit.
But I do disagree with one of Diallo's points. It's not that the capitalists took it over.
They're trying.
Particularly when it comes to digital media and the internet. It has always been military technology. And I would even argue with the development of radio, and I would really even argue the development of television. These are always military technology with interests that are beyond just capitalism and selling products. They have psychological warfare, public opinion goals. that part I just would want to throw
Yeah.
in there that
Shout-
you've always been. If
Well,
it's
I
we, it's we. If anything, it's
Lindsey Bell was
we who
saying that
make
in
some
the-
positive use of these things, despite their original purpose. And
well, I think it's
founding.
military because I mean, understanding DARPA and the role DARPA has played in technology in our everyday lives. I think by default it's military because that's the only fully funded, unobstructed place to do real research and development in the West is through DARPA, and that's why all these from MIT and all these other technical schools and technical institutes, they have to scramble for military dollars. So I think it is military, but I think it's all military more so because of the funding structure for the sciences and research and technology and institutions. But a lot of that military tech is coming out of what could be defined as civilian researchers who aren't in the military, but they have to work on military grants, and the military is going to get
Right,
first
but
picks
all of the
of it.
founding
So-
mass comm researchers were doing the same thing. They're all civilians doing research in
Right.
universities, but they're doing it at the behest and
So
at the
it's not
payment and at the
necessarily coming
request.
out of the military. It's just
No,
that the
it is.
military is
No,
funding it, and the military
that's-
gets first pick.
but that's
at
the point.
At the content.
No, but that's
at
the point.
content.
They're
But I
funding
don't
what they
wanna
want.
say-
I mean, they directed
No,
it.
wait. It's not just directing it. They're funding exactly the kind of research that they want for their particular needs. That's why so that point, I think, is it doesn't matter who's doing where. The point is the military and the ruling elite, their political allies who are civilians in some cases themselves, are doing this specifically for political purposes and using it for that
Right.
colonizing
And I think that's why they
function.
consciously and deliberately put the funds in the military and filter the funds out of the military for the
Right.
safety
So,
required.
but that's why I'm saying.
But it's definitely possible and necessary that we can have civilian funding or even social funding for these same things. But it's
but I'm
naturally
only point
and artificially propped up to be filtered through the military, as opposed to the military doing great things and the military creating
no. But I'm simply saying. But I'm saying that I do think it's important to understand that the internet, our media environment entirely, even our music industry, really only exists and is only propped up and was in many cases technologically in terms of the internet, and I would argue radio and probably even television were specifically, certainly the wire service. Herbert Schiller did I remember one of his great chapters was on how the wire service was used as a military technology to expand through the post office military installations to conquer indigenous populations in the so-called West. But my point is just that I think we do need to understand that it's not that they are making use of something against us. It is that they develop something to use against us that we are encouraged to believe is for us and that we are using to our benefit.
So before we get
go ahead.
to a leak recording of the ADL's CEO, the bill is
great,
the bill is arguing that TikTok is gathering personal information about users. Obviously, the Congress is not speaking about how the U.S. government does the exact same thing. And shout out to Margaret Kimberly who wrote a dope article on it. But I want to show this it's not a video, but it's an audio of your guy Green Black, and then y'all can respond to what we heard.
Oh, damn.
Want to point out that we have a major generational problem. All the polling I've seen, ADL's polling, ICC's polling, independent polling, suggests this is not a left-right gap, folks. The issue in the United States of support for Israel is not left and right. It is young and old. And the numbers of young people who think that Hamas's, massacre was justified is shockingly and terrifyingly high. And so we really have a TikTok problem, a Gen Z problem, that our community needs to put the same brains that gave us Taglit, the same brains that gave us all these other amazing left-right divide, it's the wrong game. The real game is the next generation, and the Hamas and their accomplices, the useful idiots in the West, are falling in line in ways that are terrifying. Last thing I'll just say, we saw a dramatic change in the language of the activists here in America on October the 8th. The language of groups that we've long tracked, who've long been problematic, like Students for Justice in Palestine.
I don't know why it stopped. Well, we don't even need to hear more of it. Any thoughts about
Did we
Green-
cover that on this show already? I know
Green-
I was involved with it at some point. I just can't remember what iteration. Was it here? Was it my show? I don't know, wherever. But we've talked about this. Yeah, but go ahead.
about
Yeah.
by him saying, like, instead of chasing the left,
Mhm.
you need to take the kids down, or not take the kids down, but control the narrative of the kids.
Yeah, and again, they understand that the issue is almost not always, but or not exclusively, but is largely a narrative one that that the world, and to his point, and part of their concern, because he's talking to, I believe that I can't remember, but I thought it was like a specific Jewish support group. So he's talking to Jews, and part of his problem or his concern is that Jews of younger generations are not siding with the project. Finkelstein has pointed to this over the last couple decades. Actually, his argument is that younger Jews are less interested in Israel and Zionism and so on. So there's been a creeping problem from Finkelstein's perspective, from that, well, in terms of the Zionist logic, for a while. And he's saying, yeah, because the world, once anybody takes 2 seconds to honestly look at what's going on here, it's not hard to reach the right conclusion about the genocide that Israel is imposing here. So so yeah, he's concerned, and they are losing. But
What does that say to the state about the state being more organized than us in this?
But that's the point I was getting at before, and that's why Netanyahu came out and said again the other day, we're not stopping. Like, his point is, and that's why I keep going back to the logic and to that point, even about the discussion of the declining West or the U.S., is that they're not going out without a fight, and they're not intending to stop. And until there's a military, an answer to the military, which is why I love what Electronic Intifada does. They have that routine inclusion of the segments looking at how the Palestinian resistance is carrying out its business. And for all kinds of reasons, I think we should be paying attention to that. And but the point still for me is that they're not stopping, and if they lose the narrative struggle, they're gonna wage the material one even more harshly.
Okay. Anything else on this TikTok ban bill before we go to the segment questions? No,
I guess not. Let's go.
Right.
What we got?
What's that? Diallo. Stop lying. Would Diallo highlight that? Probably. I don't know that.
I didn't. So
Geechee,
Instagram.
claim your.
Diallo. Stop lying. What the hell? I didn't even see that. So I don't know. All right. $5 from Parker. Diallo, what are your thoughts on the results? It still hasn't officially been called yet on the Bring Chicago Home ballot referendum.
I voted in favor of it Tuesday. I went down. I voted for it. My wife voted for it. My son, who we had to remind on a daily basis, we all went and voted to in favor of the Bring Chicago Home. As far as I know, it's lost. I haven't even heard that it hasn't officially been called, but I know that it didn't pass. The Bring Chicago Home was basically Chicago. The old state of Illinois is under a regressive flat tax, which puts the majority of the tax burden on poor and working class people. And 2 years ago, we had an opportunity to amend the state constitution to lead to a progressive tax, and I strolled to the poll to vote to amend the Illinois state constitution to relieve the tax burden on the poor and working classes. But there was a $500 million blitz just in Cook County alone. I don't know what the budget was for the entire state to say this is just more taxes. And poor and working class people have been indoctrinated to see taxation as theft and have a hostile attitude toward taxes, but have a favorable attitude towards profit. When profit does more, corporate profit does more to rob our wealth and to harm us than state and local taxation. But I digress. Anyway, the Bring Chicago Home legislation was saying any property over $1 million will have its fees increased, and any property under $1 million will have the fees and taxes reduced. And the additional funds that come from property exchanges and property purchases and sale over $1 million will go to alleviate the homeless crisis that's in the city of Chicago. But the problem is it's not a homeless crisis. There are plenty of homes to place people. It is a capitalist crisis, but this would alleviate and give more resources, and give more resources for people who are housing insecure and alleviate some of the tax burden. But when people hear tax, they automatically think, and there was a big push by the North Side progressive white liberals to stay home from the vote because of their protests of Biden's genocide, Joe Biden. So they didn't want to go vote in the Democratic primary. But Chicago has open primaries, so you could walk into the poll and get a Green Party, Independent, Republican, or Democratic ballot. So you could have went and voted on behalf of more progressive taxation and to alleviate some homelessness, while not even have Biden on your fucking ballot. You know, not to mention that there's also a lock them up and throw away the key state's attorney on the ballot, who's going to reverse all the progress that was made by Kim Foxx into reducing felony convictions, reducing incarceration and pretrial incarceration and all that. So we had a state's attorney who was stepping down, and two states, really three, but one wasn't really in the running, competing, and one of them was funded by people who want to take Chicago back in a more regressive prosecutorial lane. So it was another yet sad and depressing politics election here in Cook County. But again, like I said, you could have just walked in there and got a Green Party ballot. So there's a lot of shit going on, but yeah, it's disgusting. It's sad. And in Chicago needs to upend flat tax and any opportunity you have to lobby for or work for a progressive tax in Cook County or the state of Illinois, you should take that fucking opportunity. And I mean, and all these people out here talking about cut the check. And when you have opportunities to bring resources into your community, you either stay home or vote against it.
Cut the check, bro. Like somebody else said something about
great. You know, cut the food stamps. Don't turn down nothing. I ain't saying don't fight for reparations, but if you see a nickel in the street on the way to reparations, pick up the fucking nickel. What is wrong with people?
What's up with all this vegan slander, though? Somebody said vegans are naturally judgmental, which is wild as fuck. I never heard of that. Naturally?
Vegans are naturally judgmental. Because in order to eat judgment, you have to make a judgment. I'm not going to suck bone marrow and eat animal excretions. You have to be very open to be able to do that. So yes, you are a discerning person on what goes into your heavenly vessel.
I think it's making good judgment. Well, I don't know if it's judgmental, but yeah, we'll let you have we'll let you have your chicken wings.
I'm gonna be like the West Indian. You ever argue with the West Indian? How they like to flip words.
Which one?
I'm the mental judge. Whenever you bicker with a West Indian, they just love
it. Depends on which one.
It depends on which one. Me mental judge. That's why I'm gonna just fucking flip that shit on them. Yeah.
So who's paying Africanism strikes back $5?
Whether or not I want to put something into my vessel, my divine.
TikTok needs to go. Period. Unfair distribution of information. If both sides aren't represented equally, that is dangerous. Wait,
what are the two sides? What sides are you talking about? Pan-Africanism strikes back.
That's your name, Pan-Africanism?
I would also, I mean, and again, the comment might lead someone to conclude that other social media platforms are somehow better.
That's it's a little different there.
Or
I'm
less
about to go open up a TikTok
unfair
account.
and just.
If the Congress don't like it, I love it.
But in Germany, the argument is they're too heavily on the far right, and so I don't know. I don't know what bro talking about. Maybe he don't got a TikTok.
Log in.
Maybe
wow,
maybe
he's signing up right now.
Maybe
Hey,
his
if
watch,
Congress is against it, then I'm for it.
maybe watch
Continue with Facebook.
his watch
Continue
go
with
TikTok.
Google.
I appreciate the $5 though. Appreciate
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for the
$5.
$5.
Do they allow
Appreciate
nudity on TikTok?
Diallo, what you talking
No,
about?
I think you got to go to like Kick.
Wait,
I think it's
Jared,
Kick.
you really know about this?
Because
What?
I watch these YouTube shows that talk about all this stuff, man. That's what I'm saying.
How to go for me? What's the other thing?
Kick is a
Man,
gaming site. I'm
man,
already on.
And Cam and speaking of inappropriate pay, why is Cameron said that he doesn't believe in dinosaurs, man? Is that where we are?
That's what you. I told you.
Cameron trying to advocate for 1E1,
70,
77, 1E1.
Leave them dudes alone.
Wait, what's that? OnlyFans? Yeah, you don't need that other thing. Whatever Jared talking about, just get an OnlyFans if you want.
Oh right, yeah, OnlyFans.
That
You
costs
can
money.
No,
yeah.
it does.
I think I don't know.
No, you don't. How
You gotta pay for OnlyFans.
No, people
Don't
pay
you?
you.
Create an OnlyFans to make money.
Oh no, I think
No.
anybody can sign up, but you then you either charge people or are charged.
Huh?
Me and my
To
wife, we
see.
share everything. She can look at the credit
And
card.
maybe we need to have a young person come
I get
on
in
and
trouble when I
explain
buy
all
something
this
on
social media
Xbox,
stuff.
It'd be like, what's this $5.99 purchase?
Oh, you don't have your own credit. I got my own little.
Xbox.
I got my own little
I can't-
allowance
They are
space.
funding it,
I
Diallo.
can't do
UMBC
OnlyFans. I don't
student
know how to-
researchers have contracts with AFRICOM. That was to you and Jared's argument. She was trying to help Jared out with the argument that you was losing.
Did I ever say they don't fund it?
I mean, it sounded like you was, wasn't.
Did I say
understanding
they
Jared.
don't fund it?
I don't
The
remember.
question,
but it
no,
sounded-
the agreement. We agreed that the funding. The difference was what does that mean in terms of the ownership or who's in control?
Yeah, there's a
That
bit
was
of a
it.
difference.
But we agreed
I
on
think
that. Yeah.
It's more by, I mean, yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. But I'm
You got
glad
to
she's worked up the courage to actually say people's names instead of just hating from outside the club and just saying innuendo and slander.
And who window?
Whose
Whose windows, Diallo? Whose
And
windows?
whose
Social
windows?
media,
Stepping up.
That's
social media is
funny.
allowing
Growing up
people to
a
tell
bit.
the truth about Israel and
He's
Palestine.
growing up.
When
Huh?
back in the days we
Oh.
had to take commercial media word for it.
Yeah, but
or
I
rap
mean,
songs, right?
I mean,
or rap music.
alternative
Music used to be
and
alternative,
progressive-
right?
Alternative and progressive media predates the internet, and it was around before the
Yeah.
internet.
Through
So,
what? Like
with
rap
social
and other
media-
stuff?
Huh?
Rap and what was the other alternative media? Like rap and comic books and
No,
jet
there were
magazines?
newsletters. There were progressive newsletters.
Mixtapes, pirate radio.
The final call used to actually have
Right.
journalists and scholars. For the final call, used to actually
The
have
street
real
preachers.
journalism going on in the final call.
The Purple Warriors
There
yelling
was
at you on the side
always
of the street.
underground progressive, like you said, mixtapes and lectures. Oh, the
Yes.
VHS tape lectures.
Yes, all
The
of
tape
that.
man on the corner. I still got VHS, DVDs, CDs. So yeah, there was always underground media, but social media has made it a lot easier. Transatlantic Productions. Shout out to Transatlantic Productions.
ZZ
that's
Lion
our
Dad give us
Library of
$2 for some
Congress.
jelly beans. What's the jelly
Thank you,
beans?
ZZ
Is that the
Lion.
I don't
edibles?
get it, Ronald Reagan. I don't get the jelly bean reference.
I
No,
don't
there
get
go
it
your
either.
guy again. Raise property equals rent increase. How does that help the situation? Money is going to illegal. Who is this guy? I ain't never seen. This is my first time
Oh
ever
my
seeing him.
God.
Yeah.
Pan
Who is-
Africanism.
He
Wait,
must be
raise
new around
property
her.
equals rent increase. How does that help the situation?
y'all
Money
ready
is
to get
going to
together?
illegal criminal
Actually-
alien migrants.
The chat didn't get this
Brandon
guy together.
Johnson
All y'all
played
man.
you.
Chat be
Whoa.
blocking people.
Listen. He put 5 on it.
He did.
Yeah, but the
He
chat
just
normally
slipped
get people
a
like this.
$5 bill into the Earn Your Liberation G-string. So Dan,
Oh wow.
don't stand here and call this man a fool or a clown. or
Nobody
say
said
he's
he was a
talking
Pause.
Y'all go on and dance for that $5.
Go ahead, you dance. Since band's making you dance, go ahead, dance.
Yeah, I support Brandon Johnson.
He said you got
voted for
played.
Brandon Johnson. I voted, and I do support refugees. I do believe that the United States is more than capable and to accommodate refugees, and is obligated to accommodate refugees by its own international treaties and by its own constitutional law. And shout out to that black judge that said illegal immigrants, illegals, aliens are allowed to carry guns.
You know, our chat be blocking
Strap
people real
up.
quick, so everybody probably done blocked dude, and that's why they don't see it. Y'all supposed to have a little struggle with him in that.
Anyway, he put
But
5 on it.
appreciate that little
appreciate it.
$5 though. I mean, not little. You know,
Yeah,
you
there
can't
you
be
go.
calling-
Dance, Geechee, dance.
The person who got the money is a financial analyst. You know, they're looking to join an org. Is there a checklist in your minds that you go through before joining an org,
Yeah.
i.e., weighing pros and cons? Yeah, I mean, hope so. Yo, all right. One thing you
Number
look for
one,
in an org.
secular.
One thing you look for and one thing you're not fucking with. Go ahead.
One thing I look for is secular. One thing I will not accept is permanent or lifelong leadership. So it has to be a secular organization, red flag, and it has to have a apparatus and structure where leadership can change hands.
Okay.
One of many things I would put on there, but that's it. Must be secular.
Secular.
And
Yeah,
if I
what you got?
show up and you start talking about we got to hold hands and meditate, I'm out. No, in all seriousness, I think there has to be some vetting. I am willing to work with and join a pretty wide variety of left of Democratic Party political entities.
Mhm.
To really want to stay, it would. I think it's still somewhat of a funny paradox, even contradiction. But for me to want to stay, it has to be, if not all black led. It has to be secular in its front-facing work, and would likely have to have some sort of overt expression of, I don't know, socialism and Pan-Africanism. I mean, I like the AAPRP for that reason, but yeah. But whatever it is, you absolutely should vet it. And then I think beyond just the broader organization, I think you do have to look, especially if it's a national group that has chapters. I think sometimes it's important to even look at how a specific chapter near you operates. In some cases, the organization may not itself be broadly the problem, just that chapter. You might need to, make some adjustments there. But yeah, any absolutely
What you think? You might need snitch to the
I didn't say
headquarters?
snitch.
To the
just
you might
I
have to
didn't-
be like that.
See, there you
You
go.
said it. That's what you said. Don't let Jared.
That's not
say
what
it.
I said.
Don't
See,
let
that's-
Jared join your local chapter, because if you ain't adhering
See.
to the charter, he gonna be on the phone to the national office. That's what you were about to say. You caught yourself.
I will call if I show up at a CMB meeting. I will call Kamau in a second.
Don't do
Kamau,
it.
they ain't
Don't do it.
doing right.
Yeah, so don't let
They
Jared
not doing it
Don't
right.
do it. Don't do it. Kamal ain't gonna answer. Kamal can say, "Hold on. I'll call you right back."
I was about to say that a lot of times these local chapters, they just spend how much they send in dues.
Shout out to the new Kai Penga. Whoever
No,
that is.
Leah, I'm just playing. When they do, I go, I may, and they do Africa. I'm playing. I'm just
go.
playing.
No,
I
I've
mean-
been to places where they've poured libation to Barack Obama and Jesus.
I'll leave.
Listen.
Well, yeah,
I'm
you
not
can't
gonna name the
libate.
organization.
Yeah.
I almost want to real bad. But
Oh
I've been in
man.
the room where they open up the organization meeting and they call out an ancestor, and somebody said
Yuck, you
Jesus,
terrible.
and they poured the libation, and somebody even poured libations to Obama, and he ain't never gonna be it.
We all right. We all. Hey, the brother keep sending 5 on it.
What'd he say?
Man, I love the honesty. More brothers voting against their own best interests. MSM will have you believing Black Chicagoans are waking up, but they aren't. They aren't at all. Shout out for that.
But
that
you're
$5.
advocating that we vote against our own interest. You're advocating that people do not vote.
This
against-
dude paying money to debate Diallo.
That people refused to vote up in flat tax. The flat tax is a right-wing wet dream. There were 2 elections, 2 consecutive elections where the Chicago electorate had the opportunity to vote down, to vote in a progressive tax and vote out a flat.
Oh, I see what's going on here.
Refused.
He got his own show.
Oh, wow. Promotes patriotism and puts down Pan-Africanism.
He's
Tell us
Pan-African.
Shaka's lying on you. You better drop another 5 in the chat to tell us how Shaka is lying on you. He got to be lying on you. In fact, you should pay 10 to
30.
explain the lie on that
30 to
one.
tell
mean,
us.
yeah.
Don't
If
let,
ain't
them,
real.
don't
If
let
you don't
Shaka
drop
get
30,
away
ain't
with
real.
that. Don't you dare let Shaka get away with
God
that.
is
How
stupid.
dare Shaka put
Matter
that
of
on
fact,
your patriotism?
If you
Nah.
drop 50, if we do drop 50, we'll drop the link right now.
And P-Funk is agreeing. P-Funk is co-signing. Nah, they lying on you. Pan-Africanism
But
strikes back.
Tell me if it's more of a tragedy if he isn't lying. Because when somebody says some dumb shit and truly believes it, it's more tragic than they say some dumb shit and just making it up and know it's dumb shit. So you're not complimenting someone that when they say some dumb shit and say they're not lying. I hope he is lying. I hope he's deliberately.
Tell him drop 50. You could drop 50
knows
for the
it's
link
wrong.
right now. Namdi Sabukwe.
Finally,
Peace,
That
peace.
20.
Thank you. Right.
Appreciate
Thank you
that.
very much.
Lord have his mercy.
APRP, respect.
The big ball of money. So listen, y'all, we can go to, I know y'all covered those torturing cops. We can go to the cops, or we can go to Dr. Antoinette. Where y'all want to go next?
I don't have
We're over
anything
the
on
limit.
the cops.
Now I'm ready to go. Y'all remember I wanted to stay on last week because I was trying to avoid doing some real work.
But
Well,
now
if we
and y'all
I
and you
would
pulled the plug. So this
Right.
time I'm ready to go.
All right. Well, I only really want to do the one other one just as to wrap up. Because I covered the original with the story when it broke a couple weeks ago, and who sent me this? Shout out to whoever sent me this. But Lincoln University has concluded its investigation on the death of Dr. Antoinette Candia Bailey, and some would say predictably have concluded as they have. And the short of it is Lincoln University's Board of Curators engaged an independent third-party expert to fully review the potential personal issues. Now, remember, Dr. Bailey ended her own life. I believe, was it earlier this year or at the beginning of this year or at the end of last year? I can't remember now. And she had claimed harassment from the administration and a toxic work environment, and felt harassed to the point where she wanted to end her own life. I just remember identifying at least with the conditions that are imposed on people, including, as she was described, a faculty member whose job it was to be concerned with the student experience, but students expressed seemingly unending praise for her and appreciation for her, but she felt that she was hampered in doing her work. And because, as they go into this letter here, she did not qualify for the Family Medical Leave Act, having only been employed there for less than a year, she was not qualified to take time off and to get the healing space that she needed from the harassment that she said she was suffering. But anyway, so they said here that during the exhaustive independent investigation, no evidence was found that Dr. Mosley, the president of the university, who took paid leave during this process, that he bullied Dr. Candia Bailey. They found no evidence of that. Lewis Rice, that is the law firm hired to do this, and I know, Geechee, you got some follow-up on that in a second. Their investigation did find that some workplace stress existed, leading to strained relationships among and between university employees, including those in senior leadership positions. Those concerns have largely been addressed, and the board will be working with President Mosley on improvements to staff operations and increased staff training and resources. In response to a high level of interest in the Lewis Rice investigative report, the board has publicly released a redacted version of the report's executive summary. However, and this to me read as shady as hell, but I have to admit that. Forgive my biased reading here. However, given the nature of some of Dr. Candia Bailey's personal and medical information detailed in the report, the board has requested guidance and a formal Attorney General opinion from the Missouri Attorney General's office as to whether the full report qualifies as an open record and should be made available under Missouri Sunshine Law. Until such time as we receive advice that full report must be made available, as a matter of caution, the board will only make the redacted version of the executive summary available in response to Sunshine Law requests. However, nothing in the report finds that President Mosley engaged in bullying or failed to respond with appropriate accommodations under the FEMLA or the ADA accordingly. The board has voted to bring Dr. Mosley back from administrative leave as university president. To me, that read as, we're not going to tell you everything, and we're going to say it's because she's crazy. And she's a mess.
Not surprised.
But just to clarify that we didn't do anything wrong, and the environment that produced these conditions has been corrected. And I admit I am biased as HBCU faculty member with my own particular experience and having been made intimately aware of the experiences of many others, particularly Black women, particularly darker skinned Black women, as she was.
Mm-hmm.
There is, so the idea that there was maybe a little bit of an issue, but we fixed it and everything is on her. The level of convenience is just too convenient. The convenience is too conveniencing. But that's the statement. I just wanted to follow it up. And I just want to say one more time and publicly, I am beyond what I'm expressing here. I admit I am wildly affected by this story. I did not know this woman, but I do not have I can speculate, but I do not have I cannot explain my logic or my reaction to this, but I am having a tremendously emotional reaction to this. Like, I do not like, obviously, what happened with her. I do not like how the story has been covered. I do not like this response. I do not believe it. I am not comfortable with it. The persistence for decades, in my own experience, of these problems, despite attempts to correct them, I struggle with it. But that's at least what has been reported, and I hope she rests in peace, and I hope her family. But that's it. That was
no. So you know me, I didn't even read the whole thing before I started looking into this Lewis Rice, and I was like, okay, let me see who these people are. Now it's a gang of white people, as y'all can see. And then all of the Black people at Lewis Rice, like, their jobs is to handle Black issues, right? So the dude who you saw, Norwood, now you didn't even see him, but the dude that is over this research, his name is Norwood. And so what I did was I searched Rice, and I was trying to find some shit that I normally find, and the thing that popped up was this guy's pro-police orientation. So anytime cops are accused of breaking people's constitutional right, he defends the cop, right? So, and then even there's another sister that's on here where she kind of worked with youth issues. So youth incarcerations and stuff like that. But I mean, literally his record of focusing on like the Missouri qualified immunity defense for police officers, and always been on the side of the state. And so it reminds me of, again, Ketanji Brown Jackson, how these particular type of Black people in these white spaces and integrated in law, whatever, always going to side with the people. So there's no way that you can even assume that he wouldn't be biased to the person in power at the time. And it will be interesting to see what type of things they surveyed. And then my question, I don't know if you covered it or if it's public, I was looking for it, but that actual email, did you see the email that she wrote, or was that public somewhere?
I can't. I didn't see it. I didn't look for it again. I did. Now I can't remember because I did actually do a video covering this when the story first broke, and I did cover some. I think what with the. I have to go back, but I honestly don't remember what. But part of what she was saying, I do remember what she was arguing was that the president was harassing her, was creating a toxic environment for her, that she felt that she couldn't escape it. And I remember specifically because I had the same experience where you get emails outside of work hours, phone calls and text messages to your private phone from administrators outside of work hours, which is, if I'm not mistaken, if it's not technically fully illegal, I don't know, it's not illegal, but it's against policy. So I had to remind folks of that policy and to say, let's keep it primarily to email and during work hours. But all of that does and is done on purpose to create stress and she was reporting that. And the whole thing was, and then they, later in the statement from Lincoln, they make another reference to the overall problem facing Black Americans and mental health. So there, and again, I'm not saying that she had no issues. I'm not saying that she didn't need whatever she needed, but this is clearly the way they're framing it. We weren't perfect, but the real problem was this woman was crazy, and and really, if I read it the way I really want to read it, the way I really interpreted it is that all of these Black women are crazy, especially the ones that have good relationships with the students and want to make improvements. All of them are crazy. It's like another version of drapetomania.
Sounds like what that black cop will say. So, like, even earlier when we talk about Freaknik seeing more Black cops, like Norwood is pretty much a Black cop, but for the white corporation or law offices, he handles the HBCU contacts, anything that happened with HBCUs, he's there. Obviously, diversity and inclusion, he's the chairman of that. But yeah, so I mean, and I saw you highlighted independent. I maybe missed that when you highlight independent investigator. What was your thoughts around that? Like at the time?
I don't know, other than during the exhaustive independent investigation, I think I was just highlighting that that's what they were calling themselves as having done.
Yeah.
It was just but yeah, I mean, of course they. And again, I admit a bitterness and a bias here, so I just want to be clear. But I just remember the response to my quote unquote case for plagiarism.
Mm-hmm.
There was, and I quoted them verse and page on the Morgan State policy, and was like, you're not even following your own policy for process, and it didn't matter. So so that's what I'm saying. When I read this, yeah, you can say you did an investigation. Yeah, it was independent. Yeah, you hired this law firm. Yeah, you did. But it was all done to reach a conclusion you all knew you were going to reach.
Yeah. See, we tried.
So, and she's crazy. And let's move on. And she was sane enough for you to hire her. She was sane enough for you to keep her on for a year. She was sane enough for you to not have gotten rid of her in that time. But all of a sudden, she was too crazy to have any of her claims be taken seriously.
Right. Diallo, I wonder if you and Dr. Mingo have talked about this. I know she's a professor as well, but any thoughts or insight into your conversation?
I've seen firsthand how academia deals with Black women. I have a great aunt, my grandmother's baby sister. She was one of the first, I was the first person in my family to secure a college degree and go on to a doctorate. And she was a clinical instructor and a professor. And she was elevated to dean. She was promoted to dean, fighting and saw people passed over her, people she trained, some of her former students surpassed her in the field. And they finally promoted her to dean. And when she was promoted to dean, her first task as dean was to expel a student, a militant Black student. Now, this goes all the way back to the 70s. A militant Black student who was complaining about institutional racism and discrimination And they were like, yeah, first thing we need you to do is sit down with this young man and tell him he will no longer be. And so she saw that she was promoted for the specific task of being a hitman and sustaining the system of racism. And from that point forward and sitting down with this young man and coming up with a plan where he could fight back and letting them know that they're targeting you and they brought me in to target you. And throughout her academic career, the psychological and physical toll that it has. And yeah, my wife is in academia and I see it. It is and one thing that I think this story should really point out is that HBCUs or Black facing organizations are not a sanctuary and not exempt from white psychopathology. Simply Black faces in high places or even majority Black spaces are not exempt from the psychopathic racial personality. That's what I would take away from that. But yeah, sisters, like I said, I'm very intimately aware of what Black women go through as they elevate and navigate this system, from the brothers talking about how the sisters are taking their jobs and outdoing us, and from the top where people are saying they aren't capable or worthy, or while at the simultaneously overworking them and overburdening them with holding up the institutions. So
how long has that white man been the president there, or was?
I don't know. And as we, the president Lincoln is a white man, and I believe I don't know how she identifies exactly, but he has a Black wife. But my point when I talked about it initially was that I all contradictions notwithstanding, in this case, I don't think it matters. The particular whiteness of this president does not matter, and I wouldn't want anybody to be confused into thinking that were he Black, that the same thing would not have happened.
Right.
So, because again, I haven't seen there's literally like one white man that I've technically had to work for in my 20 years at Morgan, and I rarely see white people in positions of authority, if at all, and the treatment is indistinguishable at best. So look, this new book, and I'll again, I got to get it to the both of you, and I think it would be perfect for us to take up. But this new book that I'm just wrapping up here, Black, Not Historically Black, Toward the Pan-Black College and University by Joseph L. Jones, is I think a very important new contribution to this conversation. And we should look at it. But yeah, and yes, Yipper, it was Lincoln University.
I needed to I know Dr. Joy James was sending me new bones, so we need to set up a time to talk to her about that too. So
yeah,
almost made it through a whole show without a name drop.
Nope.
What are you talking about?
Try again next week.
Who got name dropped just now?
Joy James.
How's that a name drop? She's on our platform. She's on our platform. Okay, hey guys, I know Diallo. Me and Diallo real tight. That's a name drop too, right?
Depends on where you at. Don't be saying my name out in these
But
streets.
seriously, when are we doing this first live show? When are we gonna we doing
listen, that? The read said come on through. So y'all want to do it in Baltimore, or y'all want to come to
It's really up to it's up to either one of you. I will.
Can you wait till we finish before you start in on your Mandingo rap?
This ain't a Mandingo rap. This is spinach tart.
Give us time.
Pause.
Attention.
This shit is good too, by the way. Spinach tart, man. Spinach.
All right, y'all. Listen, anything you want to let us know about real quick before we get out of here? Once Geechee starts eating, this a wrap.
And let me know. Let me know where y'all want to go. What you want to do.
All right.
I think the easiest setup seems to be in Baltimore. It seems like in terms of venue for the first one, but so that would mean that oh Lord.
Yeah, leave that man alone. That man that spent $35 trying to.
How does raising taxes on property worth over $1 million help the housing situation? Wouldn't those costs simply be passed on to renters?
That's a very valid question. But what people always talk about, what about sending about losing jobs or raising rents and all these things that the wealthy people can do to harm us if we in any way impose on their ability to gather up more of the wealth of the nation and hold it. Chicago already has, with the flat tax, with its current system, the second highest raise in rent. There's only one other county. There's only one other city in this entire nation that has a higher. I think Chicago has had in less than a year a 20% raise in rent, whereas I think Syracuse, New York has a 22%. So it's number 2. With the current system we have, rent is already ballooning. Homelessness and housing insecurity is already ballooning with the system we have. And so it's disingenuous for the rental class, the ownership, the landlord class to come and say, well, if you do this, rents are going to go up. If you don't do this, rents are going to go up, because they're going to squeeze every dime out of you that they can. But what the reason why this is because if I buy a house for $175,000, I have to pay the same rate that was paid for the Trump Tower, that was paid for $1 million and multi-million dollar properties transfers in the Gold Coast. So poor and working class people pay the same rate. If you simply read the legislation, it will reduce the tax burden on people who are buying and securing housing to live in, and increase the burden on people. Not only increase the amount of fees they have to pay, which causes for less property speculation, less property transfer. It will reduce the fact that housing is treated like a commodity as opposed to a place for people to live. So housing stocks will be more stable. Housing transfers will be reduced, and it will give more resources to people to move from renters to ownership, owner-occupied property. It favors owner-occupied property, while it would discourage high-level property investment.
Hey, dude.
So that's how, and it's very clear. Go pull up the legislation and read it.
And you dancing for the dollars, literally. So
and the costs are already passed on to.
And then he put $2 on the same question, so he baiting you, right? Keep stringing the.
I agree. We should also have rent controls. I agree. So yeah, that's like saying we should vote for not being whipped. Oh, we should vote for not being shot too. Yes, I agree with both of them. Rent controls and progressive taxation. That ain't funny. It's not funny. Not funny. But it just hurts my heart. This is basic public policy. This is not revolution. This is not conscience. This is not revolution. This is basically public policy. It's pretty mundane public policy. And you can't convince me, like Dr. Clark said, you ain't gonna run an African economy if you can't operate a candy store in Harlem. If you can't understand basic public policy and where you should fall on a basic taxation policy, how are you going to conceptualize revolution and orchestrate grander schemes against the system when you can't even execute these minor schemes?
Reese broke Geechee.
Anyway, man.
Y'all
be safe. I got snow.
That sound like something Manny would say, yo.
I got snow accumulation out here, man.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, global warming stops us from getting snow anymore. We just get cold.
It's cold as hell. It's like a foot. We ain't had snow all winter. And now that it's spring, you know, I shaved. I got my hair cut. You know, I got my nails did. I was ready to step out on these fools. And I'm snowed in. But I will be at the Goodman Theater tonight.
Doing a comedy show?
I will be in the audience observing.
Oh, my bad. Who performing?
Listen, let me tell you something. My wife bought season tickets at a discount. She got like discounted, like 60% off for season tickets at the Goodman Theater. So now every time those foo-foos put on a play, I got to be sitting down there.
You don't like plays, bro? I thought you was a drama expert.
Yeah, that's the problem. I like it too much. I like theater too much, so I'm very hard to impress.
You probably be trying to tell them what to do too. No, that's not how you do that.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. No, actually, let me not stop playing. There's been the Nakarema Society, masterpiece, well written, well executed, well staged. Oh, Nakarema Society. Oh, but let me stop talking about theater and stuff. Somebody called me zesty in the comments.
Yeah, they did. That was kind of funny.
Without any pushback from either one of y'all.
But you already pushed
I didn't
back.
even see
You
it.
was pushed
What I
back.
don't even.
I'm
what
not
does
going.
zesty even mean? I don't even
I
know
don't
what that
even know.
means.
I don't know. But wasn't you pushed
So what
back?
are you
Why
going
would
to
you
see? Are you going to see the Penelope ad? Is that what's is that
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
tonight?
that's it.
I think
That's
he's going to get. I think he's going to see that anti-China little play they be having. You seen that yet? The Shing something.
No, well,
I don't.
I went
I'm
to-
uncultured. I don't do theater, but this
Yeah.
this stuff looks this looks pretty interesting though.
I feel like I've been in
the
one in
thing is, the
Baltimore.
Goodman is like the upstart little rugged theater house, because you know it's right down there with the Ford Theater and Broadway, Chicago. So all the big productions, all the high scale,
the
high end, where they show
anti-communist play
shitty
right
plays like what's that dumb shit everybody was going to see? Hamilton.
Oh wow.
So I like supporting the Goodman Theater because you see local talent. They don't go all over the world to bring talent from New York and also it's local talent. They have new stages where new playwrights, you come out of school and you can get your play produced, and so the new stages. So I like it's like it's not necessarily community theater, but I mean it's an upstart.
So
look.
I heard on this this little play.
What's up, Piper? Is that true?
Sean-
World War Today?
Shun Yin, in the middle of the play, Mao comes out and then the whole thing go dark.
That's some bullshit. That's some cultish shit right there. Go ahead.
But it's
You
all
wanna
over the
fund
city. You
cult.
haven't seen those. You haven't seen those billboards. It's
Yeah,
all
they're
over
everywhere, and they advertising in the hood for what? I had a
Man,
homeboy that went to see that shit because his wife got tickets from her job,
listen.
and he ain't been right since.
They said they've been doing this for years, but this year or this past year, 2 years, it's been
Don't go to
everywhere.
that shit.
Of course,
Don't
nobody goes.
go. It's hypnosis.
This the glory days before
Anti-communist
communist China.
It's hypnosis. Don't go to that shit.
If you get
I
some
got
free
a brother
tickets,
still
yeah.
trying to recover.
Oh yeah. I wonder. We should look into that one day. I don't know who's bankrolling it. The U.S. government, maybe. I guess. Who knows?
Thank you, Culture 88. Enjoy. I'm well being. Where did I go? I went somewhere. I'm back.
No, they back. That's what they meant. They came back.
I'm enjoying. I'm well being back. Okay. Either way,
Yeah.
thank you, Piper. Piper? You part of the crew.
Refund.
Love
Appreciate
is love.
We're gonna refund her
Love
$21.
is love.
About to see
This is
Piper
one of the
next
many
week.
times Chi-Town folks have been out organized. I'm sick of this shit. Also,
feel you.
due
I
to
feel
live
you,
in
Culture.
Chicago. Okay, so we got a request for the live in Chicago,
I was
and they
actually
put
about to
money
ask the
on it.
chat.
So
I was going to ask
might-
the chat.
Chicago got 5 on it already, so we might have to 10 on it already. Excuse me. Anybody
I
want
can
to
get a buddy pass for
outbid?
that amount.
Anybody want to outbid? We should. EYL is up. We like the World Cup of the Olympics. Put your bid in for where we show up.
Yo, listen, my buddy pass cheap, so that paid for my buddy pass. Yeah, we good. Jared got his freedom style of money, and Diallo, public transportation. You gonna pick us up from the airport, Diallo?
So let me just.
Yeah, if y'all come through,
Wait.
y'all gotta land on the same plane at the same time, or first come, first serve. I'm not
No,
making
let me-
2 runs to the airport.
Let me
But if
just
y'all
clarify that.
Same time
me-
at the same place. Yeah, I'll come.
Let me
I'll
just
do that.
clarify. I mix what I like. So BPM has been built on I Mix What I Like's original channel. What that allows for, the way it works is that I just have a separate pre-existing unused side of this channel that I'm slowly starting to build up. So it's not like I Mix What I Like is I'm not leaving BPM. I have not left BPM. I'm just adding some stuff to that other channel as well. So that's it. But so I didn't go anywhere.
out.
Nope.
Stepping-
Just try to help the algorithm and the platform. That's all.
stepping
That's
out.
it.
No,
See how
cheat
you
on
read
us
that.
with
That's
Renee
it.
every Saturday. You think we don't know?
By the way, we'll be back tomorrow with Dr.
Geechee.
Jill Stein talking
Is
about the
our-
Green
is our-
Party.
Is our Saturdays with Renee boycott, right? Geechee,
Yeah.
What?
talk to me on our private line.
I
I'll
only
let
can
me after
boycott.
the show today, Geechee.
Well, I'm boycotting, but when she invite me on, I can't boycott. So other than
You ain't
that,
gonna get no invite.
I done got 3
he
invites.
been
Your ass
invited.
don't get. No, wait. Your ass don't get no invite.
Even though they talk about me like a dog.
I don't let them talk about you. Though. I don't let them
The
do that.
plot
I ain't-
thickens.
Listen, I don't let the boys
The
slander
plot
Diallo. though.
thickens. I'm about to let me mute
I don't let them
my
listen.
mic so I can
When
bang
I'm
on
on there,
desk.
when I'm on, when I'm on there, I don't let them see. Actually, this is what I do. When they be like, man, Diallo and da 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 da, you know what I say? Subject. You know what I mean? So I be protecting you, bro. You gotta watch me when I be protecting you. You know, I be doing it.
Appreciate you, man. Because
Yeah,
I
man.
have no friends.
And they try to make me eat noodles and shit, and I was.
Boys don't eat that.
Why?
Boys don't eat. I don't eat noodles. I'm a grown man.
Yeah, so I'm too grown for that.
Oh
shit.
man, yeah, EYL is corrupt like FIFA. So look, you said Red Emma's Taylor ain't no. This is coming without a super chat. So we're being invited to Red Emma's, but Red Emma's in Baltimore. So Red Emma's. First of all, Red Emma's would have to show a willingness to have me there, much less the whole EYL crew.
That, Jared.
We'd have to.
I'm not taking on none of y'all beefs. Let me just.
That's what I'm saying.
Stop that beef,
I
man.
come to town.
Jared don't let beef die. You vegan. You vegan.
Y'all be in Atlanta, and
I don't create beef.
Atlanta is truly scripted. That whole city
man ain't
is
vegan no
by
more.
Tyler Perry.
Diallo. Diallo, we
Look
got
how Red Emma's
Real
did
life
me.
Tyler Perry,
I gave copies of my book to Red Emma's. I gave them books and
Diallo.
still can't get invited.
Diallo, we only got 2.5 vegans on this show now. We taking half his vegan card because he just.
How you taking my vegan card?
Because you be beefing for no reason. There's no more beef. It's
I'm
over.
not beef. I literally went and handed an overture, a tofu garnish overture.
Don't have me.
And they said no.
I don't come to
ZZ
visit people when I got a duck.
But this is how you do it, folks. Atlanta is stepping up. This is how you do it. 20, ZZ got 20 on Atlanta.
We ain't got nowhere to go in Atlanta.
Existential got 20 on Atlanta. So Atlanta's the front runner right now for the EYL Live.
Oh, Air Doctor got us in that spot that we had that.
What is Slug Vomit? Slug Vomit gave us $1.99 for
the Kush.
I don't know.
No.
$1.99 ain't gonna get it done though.
But not Kush though. Kush don't do their thing no more. I'm sorry. I love you, Naja and them, but Kush a little rough now.
No man dingo on the menu.
Chitty Masha said New Orleans. She got 5 on New Orleans.
No, baby.
I don't know. That's not Atlanta money yet, though. I don't know. That's not Atlanta money yet, though. So I don't know if that's gonna work.
So we got start in Baltimore. We go to Chicago. Then we go in Atlanta, and then next where?
Oh, look, Renee Diallo don't even like me. He would have been invited to Saturday, but if he boycotting, he won't come.
See,
I didn't know he was going behind my back.
No, I was on assignment, brother. I was on assignment. We got stuff to do.
And whoever said I don't like Renee.
We got some channels.
Renee said
I never
that.
said I don't. It's very clear who I don't like. Godless Crew.
You gonna stop
Erica,
that? You gonna stop that too? You gonna stop that 3?
It's very clear, and it's the fact that they're all women has nothing to do with it.
So listen, we only got 2.5 vegans, and we only got 2 gynocentrics on there.
You better get out of here with that.
Jared beef with everybody.
Herschel D said Baltimore or DC. But $4.99, Atlanta got all the money.
Oh yeah,
Atlanta is the black capitalist mecca. They got all the money.
No. You ain't gonna skip past it. Somebody pulling Jared card. What happened to the April DC link up?
Oh wait, side note, I thought BPM had to save a date for April 6th live show. Oh no, that guy that's not happening. Sorry, April 6th that's not happening.
We was gonna party our ass
First
off.
of all, that was we were looking to veggie back off of Words, Beats, and Life, but they had to reschedule their event. So that's part of the issue. But no, that April 6th part is not going to work. Sorry about that. But good. Thank you for the memory though, Kai. Appreciate you on remembering.
I mean, isn't Baltimore, Philly, DC? Ain't that all the same?
Don't do
I
that.
got 5 on Baltimore and 5 on Philly.
All the same.
Don't do that. Don't be. See, this is why we can't do shows places because you do shit like that.
Crud. I mean, what's the difference?
Baltimore, Diallo, good show this past week, said Brother Chris.
You hear it, bro? I'm not even gonna repeat what
it just seems all the same. I've been
New York.
You sound like Trump, though. You sound like Trump. You just made a
Really,
Trump.
I mean, if I dropped you in the middle of any of those cities and you're not from there,
we're not about to let this guy be disrespectful. No.
Y'all really want this live?
What's the point of going to the East Coast if you're not in New York?
I mean, it's too late
Like,
now.
seriously.
It's too late. We
Who goes all the
had
way
a
to the
show,
East
and now
Coast
it got
of the
pulled from
United
this
States?
time.
If it
Ooh,
ain't New
man,
York,
Goddess Crew is ooh.
Yeah,
I'm too
man.
young to read her text.
I mean,
man.
Diallo be saying some wild stuff though.
That's a good thing. Is that
Alaska,
bad?
$2.
I would love
Alaska.
to live in a world of infinite.
We can't go to Alaska. I want to see the chaos in person. Diallo is very kind in person. He ain't gonna do none of that jabba jibba jabba because he know he gotta walk to the car.
I can walk to the car. Don't y'all not gonna have security?
Nah, nigga, you on your own.
Wait, we gotta
We don't-
reconsider
we
all
don't-
of this.
We don't need no
Let's
security.
take it to Nebraska.
Wait, why is Dennis Rodman
Dakotas are
crying?
nice this time of year.
All right, good people. I think
Oh.
we'll tabulate the votes.
Wait a
Keep the
second.
votes coming. You can
I
super
I
chat.
gotta retool my list of where we gonna perform live because I didn't know this.
I mean, you just retold
I
our list.
assume
Like you,
that's
we can't. We not
responsible.
even good in Philly,
That's
DC, and
responsible
Baltimore anymore
community
because of you.
members.
Goodness gracious, Meek
I just
Mill.
want to let folks
I
know
gotta
that they can super
brush
chat
up
their
on my
votes in, even when we're not live.
Oh, really?
Why are you saying I'm not a vegan? I mix what I like.
Because you want
I
beef
mix.
all the time, man.
Nah,
That's music.
man.
You want to mix beef up.
I'm absolutely a vegan,
want
and I
beef.
don't have no beef with
We want
anybody. People
problems,
just don't.
no problems.
It's not even beef. I just don't get invited.
I mean, they have a new
I don't know if
team
that
every
qualifies
week,
as beef.
Nah, they got a new squad now. They're not the same, I don't think.
It's a perennial disinvitation.
I think we should go to Houston, 5th Ward, to do the live show.
Why?
Did somebody put
So I
something
can
in there
see
for
Willie
that?
D and Jared in the same room.
Who?
Willie D don't need me to come to Houston. He's an international. He creates
Willie D got
millionaires
money.
daily.
Willie don't
He
leave
can
the
go
nickel.
anywhere.
He don't leave.
There
the
we go.
nickel.
Word from the point said we should go to
IT.
Haiti.
IT.
I
So
unite with
listen,
that.
I think
I'm
New
cool.
York. I think New York vegan restaurants on point now. They upscaling, so I think we need to go up there too.
I go to New York in a
We
minute.
can go to the Bronx. We can broadcast in
All we
Throsneck
need
if
is a
y'all want.
venue and a date. I will be there. And
I got a venue in Throsneck if y'all try and
I
go.
think we should go to
Might get a
B-More.
little rough over
Studio
there.
set up. We have an invite. We got to go to B-More.
all right, let's go to we'll start at
Much as I
Baltimore.
hate to admit it.
What day? I'll tell them right now.
Whenever. I have no.
Me and Jared got
I'm
to
very-
coordinate. We got other people to answer to.
No, I can. Well, I can actually. We have a
Jared,
digital
look at-
calendar. I can just qualify. I could just and
Right, yeah,
and
but you're
actually,
the
my wife
only
is right over
creator.
there. I could just ask. I could just text
Me
and
too. I
ask.
got to go downstairs and figure this out.
Ain't nobody
We'll
going to
tell you,
Throsneck.
Gucci.
We going to the Bronx. I got Throsneck. Listen. We gonna be in the hood on the podcast, right on Dewey Avenue. Stop. And we can look at the bridge.
What?
Y'all niggas scared to come to Throsneck? What's up? We good in Throsneck. We all right. Castle Hill too. We good.
Wherever, as long as obviously as long as there's an invitation, I go wherever. Oh, I do need to ask permission. Happily, I need to check in. I have a financial and calendrical allowance space to operate in, and then if I need to expand those parameters, I just have to check in real quick. But yeah, wherever we're invited, I'm down for it. From Baltimore to Port-au-Prince.
I just think we'd be wrong if we didn't do Baltimore first.
Yeah, we it's first, but
I
we
just
gotta
think it would be wrong.
Get our month.
I think we should do a live show at least once a year together,
May?
and I think Baltimore should be the launch site.
So
Once
the
a
first
year,
one?
I was thinking once a month. We should be on the
Who
road
got it like
monthly.
that? Ain't nobody got.
Nigga, you see our chat? Look at that. Boom, boom, bing, bing, all that money up there. What y'all say, May?
Whenever. I'm ready to go next week.
Y'all said whenever for 2 years now. It's almost been 2 years.
So pick a date.
Diallo, pick a date for May.
For May?
Yeah, ask Dr. Mingo if you can mingle.
March.
What date is what's May 19th is a Sunday. That'd be a
May-
nice, right? Am I seeing that right? To commemorate Malcolm's birthday? Yeah. Why don't we do it May 19th? Sunday, May 19th.
Oh yeah,
For
that was
Malcolm's
good.
birthday.
That's a Sunday? But you mean
Yeah.
Friday or
I
Sunday?
said some things about Malcolm.
It's
I didn't.
the
I don't know.
19th is a Sunday.
I might be
But
in
I
trouble.
mean, we're gonna do it that Friday, or we're gonna do it on the Sunday.
That's Del Jones's
Well,
birthday.
I was suggesting the Sunday, but whatever. I'm just saying. It don't
We have
matter to
two
me.
shows
I'm
that
ready
day,
to
that's
go
fine.
next week.
Look at this guy. Not me.
Yeah, I'm looking at my calendar.
Oh, Kevin Holmes, thank you. $49.99. Harlem Speaks. Can we get Joanna Fernandez Mumia on a live feed and the sister who was the college professor? So you asking a lot there. I don't know which if Kevin is no. Kevin, appreciate the super chat, but I don't have Professor Fernandez's or Mumia's scheduling book. We can put the word out, certainly ask, but currently we're talking about the EYL live show. So I can't make any promises on that one.
I can do
May.
Sometime in May. I just gotta
See what I mean?
we gotta, I'm coming on Greyhound, so
We just gonna fly skip out then.
I need a little bit more time.
Need a little bit of time.
Diallo, y'all come to my spot in Humboldt Park for the Chicago show. Oat lattes for everybody. Yo, Pepe.
I'm there. Oh yeah, it's good. But he wouldn't give us no sugar.
You don't need no sugar. What?
Oat milk has so much sugar in it
didn't
already.
need sugar.
What you
I
need
admit,
more?
I didn't need sugar. I wanted sugar. Y'all listen, it ain't all about needs. On the goddamn pyramid of human, the pyramid, there's other things besides needs. Water, shelter.
No, you don't need. Just put some coconut
But yeah,
milk in.
when we come, we got a spot here. So if we're gonna be doing more than an annual one.
Yeah, annual is weak, man. We got hit a little tour. We got to try out all the vegan food.
Let's go to. We should do Baltimore.
north.
We should do Chicago, and maybe Atlanta.
How the hell I do this?
And then we got to get one out west.
How I follow?
Oh
Sabi
wow!
Diallo the only Sabi on this platform. Shorty.
Yeah.
I've been bumping heads with Sabi and his followers since the 90s, man. Sabi is.
I can,
Get some people hurt.
Yeah, I'm with Sounds of St. Elsewhere on this one. It's 11:01.
Yeah, let's make it. No, it's 10:01.
3 hour man.
I'm in a different time zone.
All right, good people. Make sure you
Very
like, share,
cool.
subscribe, join the platform, support in any way you can. We will see you tomorrow on Saturdays with Renee. Geechee got.
Not me.
I don't
You
know.
ain't gonna see me there.
I will see you. We, as in Renee and I.
I'm loyal.
Yeah. Y'all got Miss Stein coming through.
Got Miss Stein, Dr. Stein coming through, talk about the Green Party and the elections. And then,
Ain't the Jilly from Philly though?
Not Jilly from Philly.
Right,
Nope.
Right.
Nope, not quite that.
Yeah, vote
maybe
green,
one day.
2024 and beyond.
All right. Peace.
Tell her the Green Party needs to focus more on local.
And we'll do that when we get to the
Local
after party.
candidates.
Chill out.
Local
I'll play
elections.
that. I will play that clip for her
Stop chasing
tomorrow.
that goddamn national carrot, that national ticket.
Dr. Stein, Diallo says, stop chasing that goddamn national ticket.
Right. Come on
Peace
down.
if you're willing
We
to
need
fight
some
for it,
green
like Fred
aldermen,
Hampton used to say.
Green water reclamation.
And
green
we will catch
school
you
board.
next time here
Those
on
are the ones
Earth.
that really matter.
We will catch you next time on.
You got to earn your liberation.